This can't all be true.
Every word.
What exactly is your plan?
The Kremlin bombing.
In fairness, the bomb was actually meant to kill him.
Black Vault break-in.
I need you to trust me. One last time.
You heard it up top. At the end of this podcast, you're going to have 5 seconds till it explodes because we're talking about the one, the only, the biggest, most practical franchise to ever exist. It's Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. Here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, just Colin. Or is it?
It's Mike G. I'm from London.
Boy.
And this is Jake Reel. Catch me if you can, Ethan Hunt.
hey, Jake Reel, inexplicably do your silly voice to sort of like mock the hero.
You'll never catch me on my biplane.
Ooh, I even got 2.
Just in case, yes. Oh, wow. The Dead Reckoning Part 2 is what this was supposed to be. I had to retitle the previous episode that we did on Dead Reckoning Part 1 to just Dead Reckoning, because they changed this one to Final Reckoning. Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
But the mission is possible.
Yeah. Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, the final installment, maybe, possibly, of the Mission Impossible franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Should Paramount choose to accept?
I will see if they do. But of a franchise, I think we're all generally pretty hot on. To my understanding, we really like these films. Jacob, I think you've seen them all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've seen them all. I did rewatch Dead Reckoning a few days ago to get ready for this movie, so I've reckoned it all out. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the franchise. Most of the installments in the franchise, I think it's a pretty solid franchise, and maybe I'll give my ranking of all the movies at the end of this podcast.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a fan of this franchise. I haven't seen every single one. I think I missed 3 and 4. Came back around Fallout. I've rewatched
2?
Rogue Nation and stuff. I've seen 2. That's with the famous knife scene.
Oh wait, you haven't seen
Philip Seymour
Ghost
Hoffman. I have
Protocol.
not seen. Yeah.
You said you didn't see 4, right? That's Ghost Protocol.
But yeah, the Burj Khalifa. I didn't see that one.
Oh, that's one of the best ones.
But I'm a big fan of Fallout. I'm a big fan of Rogue Nation. I like this franchise, and I would think, if I remember, I was one of the most charitable ones on Dead Reckoning. I really liked Dead Reckoning Part 1. I felt like the train sequence, so I was pretty high on the most recent couple installments anyway. But how about you, Colin?
I was not very hot on Dead Reckoning Part 1, as I recall. I watched it after this film we're going to be talking about today. I did not watch it beforehand, and kind of maybe now think that I underrated that film. We'll talk about that a little bit, or explore that concept. This is a franchise that I like a lot. I think we've discussed before. It's a tricky one to talk about, obviously, because of the lead actor. But I also love to think about it because I love thinking about how it was Jacob's first movie he ever saw in theaters was Mission Impossible.
Wow, that's right. Great memory.
Yeah.
I went and saw it with we visited my great aunt out in the country in southern Ohio, and I think near Xenu, Ohio. And we ended up going to see a movie, and that movie was Mission Impossible 1 in 1996.
This is appropriate.
Yeah,
for a
I was 6 years old, so I definitely
you.
understood everything that was going on. No, but that first movie still holds up as one of the better installments, I think. But I do think the franchise peaked maybe with Rogue Nation and Fallout, and maybe these final 2 with the director Christopher McQuarrie, who came on with Rogue Nation, and I just feel like there's more consistency with these last couple installments, more connectivity, and yeah, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Mike, anything you want to shout out? Any opinions you currently have or have changed maybe on our Tommy boy? He was very recently in the news for being like, Sinners is good, a film you enjoy
He's
very
the best.
much.
He's the president of movies.
Run it in Europe.
Loves
The president
popcorn.
of show business. That's right.
He's never done anything wrong. and I think Trump was going to put tariffs on the movies or something, and then
Oh no.
Mr. President of the movies, Tom Cruise, had to talk to him and say, "Look, don't be putting tariffs on our movies."
Yeah. Stand down,
you know,
Mr. President. It's me, Ethan Hunt. Yeah.
that's right.
I think, yeah, he's obviously had some controversy and weird stuff, jumping on couches and all that. But yeah, I refer to him as White Jackie Chan. He loves putting himself in danger for our entertainment.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of become his brand. And even with Top Gun Maverick, like, I'm flying the jets, guys, and I'm hanging off of airplanes, or I'm almost drowning. Like, that's kind of his thing, is to do these crazy stunts. And for that aspect, I appreciate how far he pushes himself to make movies, I guess, for our entertainment at the age of like 60 or whatever. Like,
Yeah, he's in his 60s, mid 60s. I think, yeah, he's had a career and PR resurgence in recent years.
a
And I think that is
rehabilitation
due to,
almost.
yeah, but I think it's really due to he just stopped talking about the weird stuff and the Scientology and stuff in public and just focused on, I'm the movie guy. I do my own stunts.
He
And,
reminds me
popcorn.
a lot. He
Yeah.
he does love popcorn. I get a big bucket. I sit on the biggest screen. He reminds me a lot of the Winter Soldier. Doesn't it feel like they only let him out of cryo sleep as the movie is being released for him to be like, yes, the movie is good. I'm excited
Yeah.
about movies. And they're like, good, power Tom down.
Exactly.
Basically, yeah.
You have one talking
I
point,
know,
Tom.
yeah.
Stick to it.
He was saying, Sinners was good. Him and Michael B. Jordan. He's like, yeah, this is my best friend, Michael B. Jordan. He's like the next big movie star. Like,
He's a movie star.
he's just like me, So we love that for him. He's the
60s.
president of movies.
Mid 60s. My father passed away in his late 60s. I'll probably be talking about him a lot this episode because he actually really liked the last film, and I feel bummed out they didn't get to see sort of the conclusion here. But thinking about my father, who was a man who was in good shape, running, something I don't think he could do in his 60s. It does color this film that we watched today, where even that alone, I'm like, wow, what a special effect that this 62-year-old man can run in the way that he can, or like fight and move and do all these
Loves
things.
to
It's
run.
incredible.
Yeah, you got to sprint. He loves dangling off of shit with one arm, It's his favorite.
Doing underwater
He does.
stuff, holding his breath.
He loves to hold his breath. Yeah.
In a lot of this movie, he's like just wearing like underwear basically, and he looks great for a guy in his mid 60s. Let me just say,
he looks like how I would imagine a golem would look, like a creature you made out of stone. His body, his
activate.
trunk is so interesting. He's barrel shaped.
that's what happens when you age, I think. Well, it's funny. I was actually talking to my dad after I saw this movie earlier today, and I was talking to him on the phone. I told him I saw it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Tom Cruise." And I was like, "Yeah, he does all his own stunts and everything. He still looks, he looks great for his age." And my dad's like, "Yeah, he's about my age." And I feel like because my dad is also a runner, and so he runs marathons and stuff. He sort of had he became a fitness freak like in his late 30s, early 40s, where he's just decided to start getting in shape and became this like crazy running guy. So that's kind of how I knew him from when I was, in my, like 12 years old to older. So, I compare him to my dad, and I just think like, yeah, I think he's still in pretty good shape, and he loves to run. So
It's impressive what he can do. Mike, does he remind you of your dad?
My dad doesn't run as much.
Yeah.
He doesn't really remind me of my dad that much, but, I'm impressed with what he can do.
yeah. I will say my dad, he runs marathons and stuff. I know it's not typical for people in their 60s, but he takes it a little too far where he is constantly like injuring himself and like falling over. So I'm constantly telling him like, slow down, you don't need to work out every day. You don't need to ride your bike 10 miles or whatever a day.
No.
The studio is having the same conversation with Tom during the production of these movies. Like,
You
bro,
don't need to fly the plane upside down, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went to the Alamo, and they had like a little preview before of like the ingredients of a Mission Impossible movie, and it would be like running, dangling, motorcycle. Usually, we get a lot of the elements of a classic Mission Impossible in this. Look forward to talking about.
I was surprised he didn't ride a motorcycle in this one because
Mm-hmm.
I was watching. You know, my brother visited last week too, and we were watching Dead Reckoning together, and he's like, he told me that apparently Tom Cruise has it in his contract that he needs to ride a motorcycle in every one of these movies. I don't know if that's true or not, but and he needs to run apparently in every
Yeah.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly out of the way that like John Travolta and Tom Hanks and these other guys are like obsessed with flying. Supposedly Tom Cruise is obsessed with motorcycles. I have heard that before. I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
he's a daredevil.
They've been
Yeah.
iconic elements of all this from like number 2 onward. I can't remember if there's one in Mission Impossible 1, but number 2, there's like crazy dirt bike stuff or motorcycle
Yeah,
stuff.
well, yeah, there's absolutely the
Surprisingly, yeah,
motorcycle.
motorcycles in almost every one of these. I feel like he has some scene where he's riding a motorcycle.
Yeah, and I would say the Dead Reckoning stunt is maybe now again underrated. I don't
Mhm.
know.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
big motorcycle moment.
And I will say, Colin, I agree with you. I was rewatching Dead Reckoning before this movie, and I was a little disappointed with it when it came out. And rewatching it, I thought it did live up a little better on the rewatch. So I still enjoyed it. It's not quite as good as Rogue Nation and Fallout, I think, and maybe this movie isn't either. We'll talk about that, but I think they kind of peaked with Fallout, and they're like, "Well, where do we go from
Yes.
here?" So
How do
that's
we
kind of the
figure this
problem.
out?
Yeah,
Before we jump in,
Mhm.
can we do a theatrical check-in? Mike, you said the Alamo. What was your menu? What did you get?
Oh yeah, so here's the Alamo had a bizarre thing. We also had a pre-tape from Tom Cruise saying, "Thank you for coming to the theaters and watching the
also
movie
had
the
that,
way
too.
it was."
had
I
that
was
too.
very excited for
Yeah.
that. Hi. How are you? Great.
It's me.
Hi.
You got your
Hair's a little
popcorn, sit
longer
down
now.
and enjoy. Yeah. So I'm glad we got the Tom message. There was a Mission Impossible menu though, and it bizarrely had different mac and cheeses named after various installments of the franchise, and they had different toppings and ingredients. So I think at the end I'll tell you what each mac and cheese was, and you can tell me which one you would get. But
Okay.
I did get the cocktail called Mission Accepted. It was kind of like a like a
This drink
mojito
will
with fruit juice, and the drink
self-destruct.
self-destructed.
Yeah,
But no,
how was
Yep.
it? Was it good?
it was pretty good. It wasn't as good as the acid blood alien Romulus one, but it was a good little
Wow.
cocktail. I was like, all right, Tom, I'm gonna do it
It
for
should
you.
be like they should use like dry ice and make it like smoking, like it's self.
They really should have. They need to put us on the board for
Yeah.
that. But yeah, they had a pint glass that I didn't buy. But yeah, I had some mac and cheese. I'll tell you which one later. And my mission accepted, and it was
Nice.
pretty much a full theater. How about you guys?
I'm excited to hear that. Yeah, Jacob, did you do anything special like IMAX or anything?
No, I didn't do anything special. I just went to our old Cinemark, North Hollywood, and I went earlier today,
Hmm.
matinee like I like to do. And usually I do a Monday matinee thinking, oh, it's not going to be that crowded. Monday morning, Monday middle of the day. Of course, today is a holiday. It's Memorial Day, so the place was fucking packed, and just reminded me how much I hate my fellow human beings and hate being in the same
Yeah.
space with them.
Yeah.
My theater was packed. Yeah.
I went to a Cinemark. I went today. I went to a matinee, a Memorial Day matinee. Jacob, I had a chatty viewing of this film.
Oh no, you guys got in fights almost again.
I did as well.
No,
Well,
I've really dialed back on that.
I
That's good.
still
You learned
feel
something
the
from
desire to
Kingdom of
fight.
Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I had
really-
a woman fully say at a moment we'll talk about later, "It's a bear, dummy." She's talking about shooting a bear. I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Great.
I did have some chatty people next to me, and during a certain moment when you have to pull a drive at a certain spot, when that happens, someone out loud said, "Oh, damn." And then a bunch of people started laughing. It was an
That's cool.
interesting moment.
That's really cool.
But on my left, so this was really annoying. I had
Yeah.
this guy with his kid, a huge bag of food, like a paper bag of like just full of like popcorn and hot dogs and like all kinds of stuff.
Purchased food or brought in food? Would you
Purchased
say?
food from the
Purchased
theater,
food.
but they had like a big paper bag, so much so that it took up the entire seat next to me. And so he's one seat over from me. And this guy, oh my God, I wanted to kill him because he was just wrestling in this bag for like the first full hour of the film, eating popcorn, munching super loud, drinking the ice out of his drink, crunching the ice. wrestling his bag. At one point, he's like looking for something in the bag, takes out his phone, turns on his flashlight on his phone, looking for something in his damn bag.
Oh my
And I wanted to
God.
fucking turn to him, but
Dog,
I restrained myself.
I
And I
wish I
said,
could have been there for you. I'm
I wish
That's
sorry.
Colin was here to get in a
insane.
fight for me. But this guy was like, man, you understand that like there's other people in this movie theater that
No.
like don't want to hear all your food sounds and like just no consideration for
That's
your fellow human beings.
That's a big one to me when I see the excess food. But my other huge sign that I got a couple of this time is when I see the people walking in with blankets. I'm always like, oh no, these people truly think they live here. Oh
Yeah.
This
no.
is their living room.
I hate. That's why I go to the Alamo. I call it civilian theaters now. Anything that's not the Alamo, I'm like, I hate going to civilian theaters.
Yeah.
It's so rough. I'm someone who will
Alamo's
chew
great.
popcorn like strategically. Like if it's a quiet part in the movie, like I won't chew it out of consideration.
Yeah.
You know.
The Alamo is great because it's funny because you can get food there, of course, but they're still like super good about just making sure people don't talk.
Somehow
and
it's
make
the
noise.
superior experience when it should
Yeah.
be the most noisy and like distracting.
Like weird smells of food and stuff, but if somehow the menu people are behaved. I don't know. It shouldn't work, but it does. So I love that. So I'm
But I
sorry
go to the
that
theater that it's the low class theater, the cheap theater, and people just do whatever they want. But this fucking guy, this fat idiot American,
Bagman.
and just like drinking the ice out of his cup and just like crunching the ice. It's like, man, can you just be quiet? Oh my god.
That's
anyways, I was raging.
That's a more effective villain than perhaps the villain of the last two Mission Impossibles, but we'll talk about it.
And it made it so hard to
take care of
concentrate.
this guy. Yeah.
For the first hour
Yeah.
of this movie, I was just like, could not concentrate because of this fucking guy.
And you know, they
but
say
anyway.
we want to save the movies. We want people to go to the movie theaters. I want listeners to go to the movie theater, but I also don't want people to have a bad experience. So exercise a little bit of spatial awareness, self-awareness.
It's something I'm worried about where I'm like, if you're finishing a whole popcorn and then moving on to hot dogs, it's like, buddy, this movie's only like, well, it's too long. But this movie's only like 3 hours long. Like, you can't be having like 4 meals in 3 hours, dude.
This guy had an insane amount of food that he was just constantly grabbing in this bag, rustling around. His son was there, his little son, like 12 years old or whatever, giving him food. And I was just like, man.
Well, you want a hot dog? You want me to really dig around in this bag? Give me your iPhone.
It was insane.
9 innings, 9 beers, 9 hot dogs challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I like to go to these matinees where usually the theater is like half empty and then I can have a chill experience. But Memorial Day today, everyone was fucking there. Huge lines at the concession stand. I didn't get anything because I was just like, I'm going to get in, get out, watch my 3-hour movie, go home, and just get it over with.
How did that guy not end up at Lilo and Stitch today? That's so crazy.
Right.
Oh,
geez. Well, I'm sorry you guys had that experience. We need some high-level government assassin who sits in the back of every theater, and anybody that's being that disruptive, they just get taken out silently.
We need the entity.
Yeah, it makes me want to nuke this planet. These people.
Yeah.
You know what?
Every movie theater gets a nuke.
Right. I'm joining the cult of the entity. I'm one of those protesters in the beginning
Children
of
of the atom.
Children of the atom. That's right. We're going to cleanse all movie theaters of loud eaters. That's my mission statement. Well, should you guys choose to accept it, we want to jump in, talk the final reckoning of Mission Impossible right after this.
Let's do it.
This intro will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
We're back here on Normies Like Us, where we have been infected with the entity, the anti-god, the anti-pod here on this podcast as we talk Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, the 8th Mission Impossible film?
Yeah, I believe 8. What?
10th.
No way.
Oh, maybe it is.
I think it's 8.
Maybe I'm imagining 2.
They would. You're thinking of Fast X.
Ethan and
right.
Shaw. Yeah.
Yeah. You're throwing in a couple Bourne legacies into.
Forgot the Agent Brandt spinoff, right?
Yeah, well, true. Well, one of those is a Bourne film. You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the Luther and Benji side adventure.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. Finally, it's here. The sum of all your choices, Ethan.
Oh, it's all been building to this. James Bond.
Do you like when movies do this? Because, of course, this reminded me a lot of the James Bond movies, like Spectre. I think it was Spectre, where he's like, It's all tied together. I've been the architect of all your pain this
The
entire time,
architect of all
Mr.
your
Bond.
pain is the
Yeah.
the pulling the strings. Yes, the shadowy boss figure. No, not particularly. I don't know. How about you guys, Mike?
I wouldn't go crazy about the later Daniel Craig James
Yeah.
Bond movies, but
Right.
and this is American James Bond, I guess. It's spy
really
thriller
is,
type
yeah.
movie,
Yeah.
Yeah. Ethan Hunt. But I guess that's what Gabriel is to Ethan Hunt, as we learned in Dead Reckoning. Of course, he had some past with Ethan. But the big villain, of course, here is the entity, the AI that wants to destroy the world. And of course, only one man can stop the entity.
That's right. And this is first of all, we're gonna have spoilers for this and Dead Reckoning.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and I
Probably
do
just the
want
whole
to
Mission Impossible
all of
franchise.
it basically, yeah. But I do want to put as a caveat before I say anything about this movie. This was a victim of COVID and writers' strikes, so
Mm.
I think there are issues, but also they had an impossible mission, maybe let's say, but that does
You
not
guys
absolve
remember
it
when
of its sins.
there's that leaked audio of like Tom Cruise yelling at people
Mm-hmm.
on set, like, "We got a mask. Like the people are counting on us to make this movie. We can't fuck it up. Like we gotta, do our COVID protocols. We gotta keep masking and stuff."
I basically
What a
the
hero! What a
leg
hero!
Mm-hmm.
the legacy of that film to me is that leaked screaming match, Jacob, and then you explaining to me that my beloved Rebecca Ferguson isn't aware of what the concept of winking is, so she had to have that little eye
Right,
patch put on her
eye
face.
That's right.
Listen,
And
don't even get me started on how they killed my goat, Ilsa Faust, replaced her with Grace.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not happy about this whole time, and I'm thinking, well, she'll come back, and I'm not paid off at all for
No.
that in this one. But we're talking about a film that, as you guys said, not only had production issues, it was one of the lower grossing films of this ilk.
It got Barbenheimered, right?
It got
It was a bit of a
Barbenheimered. It
letdown
got
in
kicked
terms of
out because
box
those films
office.
did so
That's
much
right.
bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
And
yeah,
even compared to Fallout and Rogue Nation, it was like underwhelmed financially. Yeah.
and they spend a lot of money making these. I think this had a estimated $400 million budget to make this movie. So,
And let's not forget the other legacy of Dead Reckoning, which is that President Biden watched this movie and then became concerned that
Jack,
AI is a threat, and
Bring.
because of seeing this movie,
Hey, Jack. We're so.
we're doing something about this entity.
Thing is, we were just watching a movie. No, not a movie. We were watching a film. We're watching a film here at Camp David. It's called Mission Impossible. And we got this thing
This
called
entity,
AI.
the entity.
Get the heck out of me.
like a computer
yes,
that
and-
takes over other computers, Jack.
Yeah.
Everything is computer.
Everything is computer. Now everything is computer, truly, in this movie.
Now we have a boss who truly has said that everything is computer, and that scares the heck out of me. A guy
Yeah.
who would be like, "Don't even wait, nuke all the other countries,
Yeah.
blow them to
yeah.
hell, teach them a lesson.
countries,
We're
they have
working
the
with the
entity."
entity. We're sick with the entity. We had to kill them. Look,
We-
we blew up a couple of American lives as a trade.
Look, Elon told me the entity is bad. Elon is very smart at computer.
Mm-hmm. We
Yeah.
had to do it. Had to
We had
kill
to
all
blow
those
up San
criminals in
Francisco.
Los Angeles.
Already.
Yeah.
Not just have Tesla.
Oh man. But yeah, it is interesting to see how, a couple years ago it was like, oh, AI, and even just in a couple years how far AI has come in the real world. Like there is some quasi relevancy. It's a little extreme. We were calling the first one Eagle Eye as a joke, I believe. But yeah, AI is making bad AI art. We talked about it with Miyazaki, and Tom Cruise is kind of like, AI is going to ruin the movie business. So I think there's a meta level where he's like, I must defeat
for
AI
sure.
for art's
Yeah.
sake. Yeah.
Tom Cruise, the president of movies, is defeating AI in the name of art, and we love him for it. And I personally am very anti-AI. I'm waging a war against AI, Butlerian jihad, as it were. We must destroy it before it takes over humanity. So I'm fully on board with destroying the entity.
Skynet, yes. No fear of Rocco's basilisk. You guys familiar with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. James Cameron, has been warning about this for a long time. So
It's Terminator. Yeah, it's Skynet again, basically. That's what the entity is. It's getting control of nukes. This has been like a couple months since Dead Reckoning when this thing kicks off, and it's like Tom Cruise is just like, I'm not giving you the key. He's like in and hiding out. And the AI, I guess, has been slowly gaining control of more systems while he's just chilling with the key because no government can have it. Yeah.
Yes, and the big
too powerful for any one person.
fear of this film is that as it slowly moves its way through the nuclear arsenals of the last remaining like super sophisticated countries that have these in place, we're clicking down from 3 days to doomsday basically, and we all have to put trust and faith into humanity and into the one man who would never be tempted by the power of the entity, and that man's name is Ethan Hunt, member of IMF, who in the last film stole the cruciform key that is, of course, integral to this whole
cruciform key.
We need to get two parts.
Did you guys like that this film also has a thing that has to have two parts put together, basically the entire ending of this film?
That's right. We need the poison pill, and we need the hard drive, and put the poison pill in the hard drive. You don't
we got to combine two things.
The podcast.
Yeah, Podvistol, something, I don't know.
Yeah, the Podvistol.
Something Russian.
We'll call it the hard drive if we want. But yeah, it's we were making fun of this with Indiana Jones, Transformers, War of the Beasts. Like, we need a thing to put in another thing, and here we are again with another two things.
Joined, we'll win, and you just got to keep them away or get them together.
Okay? I do like at one point when they're talking to the Russian people, and they're like, "Wait, you have another key? This whole time you had another key?"
Jumping ahead, but yes, I wanted to mention that because we spent an entire film on like, we need this. There's one of a kind item. These two halves of this key.
Authenticate the other half.
You can't duplicate it. It's impossible.
They just say, "Yeah, we had an extra." It's like, oh my god, it negates the entire first movie. It's so silly.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
I do like you said, this takes place only a couple months after the last movie. When
2 months specifically.
Talking about his previous
his long, beautiful hair.
They're talking about his previous escapades, and they're like, "Yeah, he gassed a intelligence briefing. That was 2 months ago." I was like, "That was 2 months ago?" Okay.
His hair grows fast. You're right, Colin. Yeah.
His hair grows very fast, and it gets called out by Grace in this film, where she says, "Oh, your longer hair looks so much sexier."
There is a lot.
You rewatch all the Mission Impossibles. He has like a different hairstyle in every one.
Mm-hmm.
Like in 2, he's got the long hair, looking great.
In 1, it's
then
short.
3 goes short again. Yeah. So
he's getting cool hair. He has long hair on the Burj Khalifa again, I believe.
Those particles long. Yep.
There's a lot. Yeah, that's right. He just alternates, I guess. I wrote notes because this thing, it's the most movie ever, and there's a lot of glazing of Tom Cruise, aka Ethan Hunt, in this movie. Like Ving Rhames in the very beginning, he's like, "You're always on the right side of history. I love you, man. You're the best guy ever, guy."
Looking down on you, brother.
Brother.
Down
how many times does a guy call him brother in this movie?
I love you,
my brother, and I don't need any excuses for anything you've ever done. I've always loved you, always.
You make the best decisions, always.
Here's the thing, Mike. I'm ecstatic that you have written things down, because first impressions, I have to say.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't like this movie in that I have a lot of questions about it, and there's a lot of stuff that I think kind of didn't work. Yeah. But in the end of the day, I think it was very enjoyable to watch. Does that kind of track? And how do you guys feel?
I'll say for me, I was slightly disappointed. I'll go over my rankings later, but it's not in the top 4. Yeah. It's really in the bottom. I mean, I think it's worse even than Dead Reckoning. I don't think it's bad necessarily, but like the first hour I thought was really rough. Took a while to really get interesting, but then when it does get interesting, I think like the second and third acts are pretty good. Especially like the third act set pieces are pretty fucking crazy, even by Mission Impossible standards. But it's just that first hour where there's these montages of all his previous events. There's so much exposition and talking and explaining about the entity and the Sevastopol and all this stuff. It's like, can we get it going? Like I know all this from the last movie already.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't rewatch. Oh, God.
Just a lot of the talking heads of the of course, President Angela Bassett and the different character actor intelligence people that
Who
they
all
keep
get top
cutting to.
billing, which is wild.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that I could have done without a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't rewatch Dead Reckoning before this. Luckily, I get to see
Wow.
most of it recapped in this movie.
You technically
I-
get to see every Mission Impossible movie recapped in this film.
Yeah.
As the
A
kind
lot
of it's supposed to be
montages.
the love letter to the franchise, I guess.
Yeah.
But me, I have notes, and again, it's a victim of some circumstances that were outside of their control, but I have it out for this movie. I did not like it at all. The set pieces,
Wow.
asterisk, the set pieces are very impressive, but as a movie, I think the editing is bad. Way too much exposition. It's all over the
Yeah.
place tonally. I don't think Gabriel's effective. I'll get into it more, but I have it out for this movie. I think it's bad.
Well, and there's only two
kinda
set
agree.
pieces. Am I correct in that?
Submarine and airplane, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
That's
really.
it.
I mean, the first hour I just think is really rough. Once it gets going, it's a little better, but it's not as good as Dead Reckoning. And
Mm-mm.
actually, in my ranking, I have it in my bottom 3. The only two worse than it are 2 and 3, which I think
Wow.
2 is like maybe the only totally bad Mission Impossible to me.
And you
then
don't
3,
like 3. Interesting.
I don't like 3. 2 is my least favorite. Then 3,
Yeah.
then this one. So it's
Then this
bottom 3. Yeah,
Mm. But yeah, so
unfortunately.
I was expecting a rip-roaring summer blockbuster, like the biggest and baddest one, and there's really only 2 action scenes that, while good, there's only 2, and just nothing happens for the first hour, 15 minutes or so. It does take a long time to get going, and I was like actively bored at times, unfortunately.
It's like this movie and the last movie could have been one movie about Tom Cruise fighting the entity.
I would actually, to argue against you, Jacob, I would say that parts of this film felt like the middle of a trilogy
Ooh.
for the first film being the first part and could have wrapped up with another movie at the end here. Where I think right after the fucking submarine, you could maybe end this movie.
Okay. I felt like this movie was sort of like the extended third act of the last movie.
Yeah.
Because the last movie ends, it's like, all right, we know we need to find this fucking Russian submarine. We need to get the entity, and then it ends, and that's what this whole movie is, just trying to get the entity off this submarine.
We talked a lot about the Buster Keaton energy of the last film. It's maybe all action scenes, whereas this film is almost no action scenes, which is almost shocking for a Mission Impossible film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. And it doesn't have like the spy craft as much as like I think Rogue Nation and Fallout was peak because like they do missions, they do clever spy stuff. This is like there's none of that in this. It's just all
It's just about nukes and
But here's what I have is the stakes are constantly too high. Like it's the most movie where it's like we must get the codes. The nukes are at risk. The computer has the codes to the nukes. Like it's almost generic, but taken like it's so self-serious in its genericness is kind of how I felt.
The recurring motif of the Joker in this movie is that he basically goes, whoops, I just set off a nuke, and kind of like walks away. And he does that move twice. And by the second time, you're like, well, nobody seems really worried about this. And to me, this is like the scariest thing ever. So what's the vibe I should be following?
Yeah.
And I think the other problem with this movie is just that, so obviously Ethan Hunt's big thing is that he cares about his team. His team is his family. He'll do anything to protect his friends, right? The team in this one, they're adding people from like the last movie that like
Paris,
our
who I
beloved
like.
Palm. Yes.
I liked the last movie.
And then Shea Wiggum's friend.
Shea Wiggum's
they're
friend
not really
is
part of the
basically
team.
I forgot he
only name I
existed.
could give that guy, And
Why
then-
are you here? And then even at the end, they're like, he's like, well, I guess there's nothing for me to do in the server room, so I'll stay out here.
When
Literally, there's nothing for me to do.
When a big crucial member of our team is an Inuit woman who does not speak English, by the end of the movie, you are kind of like, has the scope gotten a little out of control?
Well, there is one callback to the first movie that I thought was really clever, and then there's one Ray Palpatine level reveal.
That's
about
insane.
Shea Wiggum.
Yes, actually, my
It's
name.
so stupid.
It actually,
and it doesn't go anywhere.
Not only does it not go anywhere, it contradicts itself in a way. I maybe want to just talk about it right now, where because this character says, my name's this thing, and I don't even care about that other guy because I've taken that guy's name. And by the way, did I mention that I go by this other name? And it's like, well, then you didn't reclaim that guy's name.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the reveal is Shea Wiggum, the agent who has been chasing Ethan Hunt the whole time in the last
Yeah.
movie, always trying to catch Ethan Hunt, is revealed to be
Mm.
the son of Jim
Mm.
Phelps
Mm.
from the first movie, John Voight from the first movie.
This is
Who? Yeah.
here's the 1,000 thoughts that I have about this. Jim Phelps is the original leader of the TV show Mission Impossible.
Yeah. So, well, maybe this is what you're about to say, but the fans of the original show, this was controversial when the first Mission Impossible came out because Jim Phelps is revealed to be a traitor. He's a double agent in the first movie, betrays his team. He's the villain of the movie, right? John Voight. He's the original character from the show. Fans of the show hated it because like Jim Phelps wouldn't do that. Jim Phelps is a good guy, man.
And the guy who played, I can't remember who it is, he's in one of the airplane movies, was basically like, well, why did they have to call that guy Jim Phelps? Why did they ruin my character? Like, he was so heartbroken.
Right.
Now, was this twist added because to placate that idea that the name Jim Phelps is taken by a good guy at the end of the day?
Wow, it could be.
Maybe, yeah, to reassure the fans of the original show, Jim Phelps Jr. is actually a good guy.
And here's
Oh,
the thing,
man.
too, because we said the Mayor of Hollywood stuff. You keep calling Tom Cruise the Mayor of Hollywood. Now, the actual ambassador to Hollywood is John Voight, as appointed by our president,
Of course, one of the
Donald
only
J. Trump.
conservatives,
Yes,
prominent
winner
conservatives
of
in Hollywood, John Voight.
whatever, Medal of Freedom for the Arts or whatever that he could give this.
I believe he
bullshit. It's so
appointed
insane.
John
Yeah.
Voight, Sylvester Stallone, and
Yes.
Mel Gibson. Just a really great selection there.
The McCarthy Medal of Bravery in the arts, yeah.
There's also some sort of placating of like, yes, and our history is with this, and there's no political lines here at Mission Impossible. We'll take even Nazis' monies, the old Michael Jordan thing. Even Nazis buy sneakers. Like,
Right.
what is this?
Or even Republicans buy sneakers, I think.
I could see them, looking back, being like, fans were upset with that. Let's just,
Well,
again,
imagine-
as like scrubbing the history.
Yeah.
Being a fan of the original show, going to the theater in 1996 and seeing your hero, Jim Phelps, and he turns traitor in the movie.
Kills Emilio Estevez.
What a twist. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be big if I was a fan of the show.
It's a
I'm
movie
minimizing
called
it.
007, and you go, and in the opening scene, James Bond shoots a school bus of children, and it's revealed that he's the bad guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yep.
And it's like there was no Ethan Hunt in the original show. So this is basically Tom Cruise took over this franchise that existed as a show. And so all these fans of the old show are like, wait a minute. This is the Ethan Hunt show now? Like what the hell? So I understand that.
How
aspect
old
of
is
it.
Shea Wiggum? Is he the same age as John Voight in my mind?
Oh, I
Well,
don't
maybe
know.
John Voight in the 90s. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we get another couple retcons too. With they did the Philip Seymour Hoffman retcon where the elephant's foot was something to do with the AI or something.
The rabbit's
Rabbit's
foot.
foot,
has
sorry.
been
Yeah.
long.
Again, that's like it's
And
the
Shea's
specter of it
56.
all. It's like, you don't understand. I was behind it the whole time. I'm Gabriel. Don't you
I
understand?
would argue that J.J. Abrams, a filmmaker who I hate and I think is one of the worst directors of all time, because I've said before that he
Yeah.
doesn't have a
But you like
pinpointable
his Star Trek?
style. I adore his first Star Trek, not his second, obviously.
Right.
I would say his number 2 critiques, like the things that his career has been pinned to, outside of like the lens flare, quote unquote, is the number 1, the TED Talk about the mystery box that he tells that story about, like, my grandfather gave me a mystery box, and that's how I, all my storytelling is.
MacGuffin.
Yeah, exactly, tied around this stuff. And then the number 2 is I'm so tied to the idea of MacGuffins that actually I can break it down in a way that in my directorial debut, Mission Impossible 3, which was J.J. Abrams' directorial debut as a film director, I want everybody to remember that. He introduced a MacGuffin with the concept to break the idea of them of they don't even matter. At the end of the day, you don't even need to reveal what it is. And people have long said, Well, that's wrong. He's not good at that. And when he introduces this rabbit's foot, it's this thing that is hated by the fan base. And that basically Mission Impossible fans have always been like, the weakest part of number 3 is the stupid J.J. Abrams storytelling tied to it. So now to retcon tie into that, very strange choice. I didn't mind it.
Like in their mind, they're probably trying to salvage this thing that again was criticized, but let's make it mean something finally. If that's what everybody's been saying, we'll try to make it mean
Band-Aid.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Band-Aid.
always some kind of MacGuffin. And I will say, like, Philip Seymour Hoffman's villain in the third one is like the best part of Mission Impossible 3.
Easily.
And I feel like they've always kind of had a villain problem where it's like, it's hard to have a villain that can like match up to Ethan Hunt in these movies. Even with like John Lark or whatever, and Sean Harris's character.
Yeah.
He's like this evil mastermind or whatever. Like Gabriel seems even weak in comparison to those villains. Yeah.
The issue with the villains in these two films is that in the last film, Isai Morales, who plays Gabriel, was sort of pitched in the marketing as the villain. The clever twist of that film is no, it's this thing, and that he is the muscle / avatar for this digital thing, right?
But he also has a past with Tom Cruise, with Ethan Hunt, where he killed his lover or something.
And it's hinted at whatever, and in that film you just kind of accept it as it is. And because the filming of being in the club with how they actually show you being quote unquote inside the entity, I'm going to keep saying quote unquote this entire episode, I have a feeling, because there's everything in this film universe is metaphorical. That when you're inside it, it has this interesting like look, and it's pretty cool. I think the major failing of this film is that they sever that relationship. They make it so Isai Morales is no longer important, which sucks because they've given him this weird shared history that we don't get to explore with Tom Cruise. And then I think what the plot of the film is, this huge critique about AI, which I love your guys' take on it as like art versus AI, but they don't come up with a satisfying way for Tom Cruise to punch cyberspace. Do you know what I mean? Like there is no way for him to like at the end of the day unplug or do some sort of like physical action where I'm like, and then he defeated ones and zeros, like the entity.
Right.
Well, essentially, because of the result of the last movie is that the entity, Gabriel failed the entity, so the entity like basically fired him as his henchman. And he's like, I'm done with you. And then Gabriel's like, you know what? I'm going to use the entity for myself and make my own plan. Which, it doesn't make as much sense as...
You were so religious in the last one. You kept saying it was God.
Right. Yeah. So that, and he's in the beginning, like we get some like messy scenes, but we get to eventually he captures Grace and Ethan. He's like, you're going to steal the shit for me or I'm going to kill it. And they do that. They end up escaping.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of out of the movie for like 2 hours. Then he shows up again in the third act, you know?
He kills Luther, which is maybe one of the biggest acts of a villain in this franchise.
Yeah, it's...
again, the beginning of this movie is so bad. Like, it just jumps around so much. They're, Ethan and Grace are caught. Then they break free. Ethan kills some people.
It does.
And then
runs.
They go to a gala.
It has a million of those shortcut scenes that Archer used to do, the cartoon series Archer, where it'll be people going like, Jacob, you're talking about running down a hallway? And then it cuts to Mike who's saying, and then he ran down the hallway because we all know that. And then it cuts to Jacob who says like, that running is the best, like where it's the intercutting people finishing their actions. We're jumping through time using that device to move things forward, which to me just makes it feel like it's filling in around the action in a way that they didn't really have the story down. It's almost like real-time physical ADR, but instead of replacing the lines, you're just jumping scenes and jumbling.
But it's so choppy where they're jumping around. And like Mission Impossible, they've done that before where it moves around a lot, but it was so jarring. And like they're like, first of all, we need to get Paris out of custody because she can find Gabriel.
Mon Dieu!
That's right.
So they have this whole plan where they wear the mask and then they fight.
Only mask we get in this movie.
The only time.
Yeah. Staple.
And that's when Shea Wiggum's buddy joins the crew, I guess. I don't even know his name, really. He's
Right,
just
but
kind
it's
of
because
there.
Tom Cruise is able to talk everybody down like, hey, we should all get along here. Hey,
Sure.
hey, everybody. Hey.
His facial expressions, yeah.
He
Just
hits him with
believe
the
me.
Yo Blue. He does the
Yeah,
Jurassic
Chris
Park.
Pratt's him.
Right. And then I love it. He always does like the come on, like half shrug where he's like,
Yeah.
don't
You know it's the right
no
thing to
need
do.
shoot. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're
That
getting a
look.
lot of. This one has an interesting relationship with humor. Like the first time Benji, Luther, and Ethan get together, they follow each other in this grimy underground. And he goes, "Oh, sorry, the Ritz was taken." And he goes, "That's all right.
Foosball table.
Foos, they all at once go, you know what would clear this place up? Foosball
Foosball.
table. And you're supposed to kind of be like, oh, these knuckleheads.
They're best friends.
Couple of my guys. Yeah, and it's really, you're just watching it and you're like, I don't believe Tom Cruise has ever had a conversation with a human where he's ever talked about like, hey, what's your interest, guys? Have you ever played foosball?
Right,
Yeah.
no way.
Of course, this is the reveal of that Luther is real sick, apparently.
What's going on here? This is some Mike
I think
for your notes.
he
This
seems
is
to be
question
dying.
one. Luther,
Yes.
I didn't know the cost that I was asking what I asked you to make the superbug. That's okay, Ethan. Let me just hook up the old oxygen and the old drip here because you know it makes me so weak to computer hack.
But I don't blame
Yeah,
you. I
Luther
hold you
is
responsible for
basically-
0% of this, brother, because I love
my
you.
brother.
Oh, brother, I love you.
Brother, I've always loved you, brother. I'm sick, brother.
But it's not your fault in any way, shape, or form. Shit happens,
I got
brother.
programmer's disease. I'm sick.
Yeah.
So basically, Luther is dying, I guess. And
Of
then
what?
he has,
What is happening?
I don't know, he has cancer or something.
They
Yeah.
didn't explain it clearly, I guess, but it makes it softens the blow when he has to stay behind with the bomb. It's like, he's like, I'm already gone from this world, Ethan.
We've
Get out of here, Ethan.
It's too late for me.
So we all love Ving Rhames. I think
Yeah,
that's an
yeah.
absolute across the board. We can all admit that. We have
The
all
only one
like
that's been in every one of these
It-
except the first one.
yes, which is
Shows up in
insane.
2
He
for
is
the first
such
time.
a staple to this franchise. How
Yep.
could they move forward without him? We, like all comedians, have noted that the relationship he has to these films have become. It's gotten bigger and bigger. He sits down more. He wears these tiny little hats. And he does these like little, like basically the ends of,
the
I want to
computer
say like
hacker.
4 movies in a row are him like, okay, I'm going to disarm this bomb and calmly talk to everybody while I sit in a chair and don't move. And you're like, okay. And then Tom Cruise will run more than, a
Yeah,
fucking
like the last
road runner.
movie, the whole
Mhm.
airport scene where it's him and Simon Pegg sitting in the airport on computers talking to Tom Cruise as he runs around and does
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
So is the implication that after taking out your 4th plutonium core, that he's basically like, I'm real
I
sick.
got the plutonium
Like,
sickness.
That's too
I'm like fucking dying, dog.
that's too smart for this movie, but probably yes.
Yeah.
That could be the case.
Probably, right?
Yeah, he just runs so many nuclear devices all the time. Yeah.
It's like, you've asked me to do this so often, my life is over.
Because he does do
Yeah,
the
he's-
one with Henry Cavill. He's the one who has to disarm
Yes,
that bomb.
he
Yeah.
sits
Yeah,
with Michelle
yeah.
Monaghan, and she's like, just tell me what to do. He's
Mhm.
like, oh, Ethan loves you, baby.
Ethan always loved you.
Ethan, I'm here with you.
I love
wife.
you too,
And she
brother.
says, kisses, and, I love you,
She says
brother,
she
and you're my
loves
best
you.
friend.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
I
so,
don't accept that, Luther. No.
it's so
You can
funny
make
to
it out
talk
of the
about like
Luther.
the crew, right? Because you have these long-standing, like you have Luther, who's been there since the second one.
Yes.
Simon Pegg as Benji, who's been there since the third one. J.J. Abrams, of
Yeah.
course.
Mhm.
Simon Pegg, friend of J.J. Abrams, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Originally Ricky Gervais.
Scotty.
I always love to bring up.
Mm.
But go ahead.
I'm glad it was
right.
Simon Pegg.
We all are.
So is he.
Yeah.
But that's the problem is like I feel like the crew in this one is like most of the crew just joined in this movie or the last movie. Like Ilsa Faust,
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah, it's like I'm spending
Yeah.
all my time being like, well,
Grace
surely
is
she'll
the
be
new
back
thing.
because I don't want to
Yeah.
be left with sidekick guy, Grace, and then the 2 that we're going to talk about in the future where I'm like, I just don't want any of these characters as part of the team.
Yeah. No, the
Except
core
the
team,
wife. I keep her.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
I don't
best.
know, Mike. I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Well, we'll talk about that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. Like a lot of the former crew members aren't mentioned. Like there's no mention of Jeremy Renner's Agent
There's-
Brant.
Mhm.
Now, Nick Offerman has a like through line in this movie, Jacob, and so
Yeah.
does Holt McElhaney or whatever his name is
Holt
from all these
McCallany.
other
Yeah.
stuff. Is it because he was ripped in half? Why is that not Jeremy Renner? Why isn't one of those people in that room going like,
Or
trust me, I trust Hunt too because,
Yeah.
we've been through X, Y,
Mhm.
and Z.
So
Yeah.
there's no Jeremy Renner, no Alec Baldwin.
Alec
Which
Baldwin's
remember, he was
dead.
a big part of the. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Did
he's
He
dead.
dies
in
in
one of them?
Fallout.
Okay,
Yeah.
because they bring Angela Bassett back, right?
Yes.
But now she's the president.
But
Yes.
John Rhys Meyers, Paula
Paula Patton,
like we have all
big
these
part of
other
Ghost
agents that
Protocol.
have never come back that I don't understand.
Right. And even
MI6
Michelle
has a
Monaghan,
high
his former
turnover.
wife.
Yeah, former wife should come
who
back.
last
Wes
seen Fallout.
Bentley as the cuck husband should come back. How do you know him?
Right. Oh, we're Doctors Without Borders.
You seem
We're-
so close, and he seems so strong and handsome.
Yeah,
We have-
I am surprised they didn't bring her back in some way, because literally the last time we see her is in Fallout, and then
Ethan.
she's not part of these last two movies, which is weird because she's
No.
like a big part of Ethan Hunt's
He's
whole thing.
maybe. I mean, he was. We know from the last movie that he had maybe started a relationship with Rebecca Ferguson. I'm not kidding you again. It sucks as a viewer, I guess, to have these expectations, but I'm watching the whole movie being like, this is the scene she'll come back. This is the scene she'll come back. And
Right.
she doesn't. And that sucks. Now he's maybe dating Grace, I guess.
Well, this is
and
what I
that's
don't like,
why
'cause, yeah,
Michelle
it's
Monaghan is in
so-
it.
It feels so transparent that like they literally just replaced Ilsa Faust with Grace, and it's like
Yeah.
we can't have like two women in the same movie.
She was the pickpocket, and then the ending of this film, she goes, "Okay, the terminal's connected. We can start the hack now." And I'm like, "There's
Yeah.
just not
Of course,
a
she had a
chance."
big arc in the last movie where she starts as this pickpocket.
Oh, but
Eventually, she's recruited to the IMF by
and she's been one
Ethan
for
Hunt.
2 months, Jacob. So she's got it all down. She's learned,
Yeah.
every
I
language.
don't like
and-
this.
It's all about
age
timing.
difference between Tom Cruise and her. I don't know what their relationship is. I don't like it at all.
a
She's like
62-year-old
30 years
man, and
younger
how
than
old
him.
is she?
Yeah,
30,
yeah.
maybe.
They don't spell it out in the movie. Like, they don't commit. Like, they don't smooch or nothing. There is some will they, won't they
There's
happening.
some, glances and things. And there's
Yeah.
the
There's
whole
some air pushed
decompression
into some
chamber
lungs.
scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank
That's
you.
true. I have a crazy theory about some of this, but I'll have to get to it at the end once we get plot. But I have crazy theories
Okay.
about
But
it.
literally in the last movie, if you remember, Ilsa Faust dies protecting Grace from Gabriel. Who's Gabriel's like, you have to choose. One
His
of these
little
two
blade.
women will die.
Mhm.
And so she literally basically sacrifices herself. And I don't know. I don't mind Grace as a character, but I just feel like you replaced my favorite.
Right. A lot of
Ilsa
people
Faust,
feel
I
that
love
way
her.
too. I also have notes that it says, "Where's Vanessa Kirby?" Like, bring
No
her
Vanessa
back.
Kirby.
Yeah.
No
Very strange
Rebecca
that
Ferguson.
was kind of nuts.
Problems. Yeah.
Like why? Yeah.
And it's
why
not-
even watch it?
It's not fully a kill your darlings thing or whatever, almost like a bury your gays, where it's like, well, we're replacing one woman with one. We do get Palm, as we mentioned in this, as like the
Yeah,
new heavy
but even
as well.
her-
But,
She
it's
doesn't have
not-
anything
I
to
don't-
do.
Get off
Her
this
role is
crew. Get off
useless
this
in the
crew.
movie. Yeah, she
I
was
don't
so
need you here.
cool and interesting in the last movie when she was
Yes.
a bad guy, and now she's just good and she's just there with the crew to
Totally
speak in
defanged.
French.
And basically, her entire through line is people mysteriously stop her from killing things everywhere, and she keeps going like, "I'm a killer."
And here's my question
Oui,
too. We got Tom Cruise speaking French. Benji knows a little bit of French, but she'll just every couple scenes she'll just say some shit in French, and nobody acknowledges it. Like, how many
The
people speak
sidekick
French?
guy'll be like, "Did she just say that?" And you're
Right.
like, I don't know. Can you speak French?
I guess everybody understands French. She's just throwing out these
based
lines.
on those skills too, Mike. Sidekick guy flies a plane at one point, and so does the Inuit woman. We'll talk about it at a certain point here. And both scenes have both the characters looking back and nodding and like giving the thumbs up. Where I'm like, fly the plane. Like if either you can do it or you can't.
He's there
And
to
you
fly the
both
plane.
seem to be able to do it. Yeah.
And him and Palm are basically there just to shoot people when they need people to be shot. And it's like, why are you with this
Kill
crew?
him!
Like,
Kill him now! Kill Gabriel! There's a great scene where
And they
Tom
don't
Cruise
get it done.
screams out, Pum, do it now!
Now's
Kill
the
him!
time.
do your one thing that you do,
And
kill
she goes,
people.
Mandu!
Merde.
there is a funny part.
Jammed.
I do like at the end when Benji is having some like health problems, right? Because he got shot, and so he needs like some medical service. He's like, are either of you like have any medical experience? And she's like, well, I kill people. He's like, well, close enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess she was useful in the end.
That's right.
That scene was, good doing the surgery ballpoint pen. I've heard stories of that. That's like a thing that you got to do sometimes in the
Let
field.
the air out.
Yep. Puncture a lung. So I like taking the pen apart. But anyway, the side crew does not have a lot to do, for sure. Once
No,
literally that
Mom is
guy.
looking for a black cat with a whited paint streak on it. She's basically doing Pepe Le Pew the entire movie.
yeah.
Yeah, and literally the other guy, like I said, at one point, he's like, "I'll stay with these guys because
I'm not really needed for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I'll go over here. And there is a point at which Tom Cruise does. He's like, after we lose Luther, he's like, I got to turn myself in. It's the only way that I can access the entity. So he turns himself in and starts his own side quest. And he basically just writes down instructions. Once he talks to the entity, he's like, you guys go do your half of the movie without me. And then it's just the crew kind of doing busy work and him doing his main mission for a lot of it.
Yeah, they need the coordinates to find the submarine to get
their MacGuffin is coordinates.
Source code. Yeah.
Now, you know who I would have taken on our crew? If we had somehow been able to get Big Lady, Mike, Katie O'Brien, your beloved Big Lady, plays a diver in this film. And I thought did a really good job.
Yeah.
She literally saves the day. That guy was going to kill Tom Cruise until she interfered.
Can we talk about, so first he goes to the submarine and he's like, okay, you're going to go to this.
Well, he goes to the president, goes to an aircraft carrier, goes to a submarine.
There's steps, but lets him go and do his
Here's the thing. I bring up Katie O'Brien's name to say there's so many cameos in this film.
Yeah.
That we should lay out like every one of them. There's like
I want to talk about
on the way to get to her. Yeah.
Right.
Before we meet her, we meet the captain of that submarine, Tremel Tillman.
Yes.
Captain Milchick.
Mr. Milchick. Yep.
Like Mr. Milkshake is in this movie, and he plays a character who just says, "Mister,
Mister, you want to do this, Mister?
What your deal is, Mister?"
But you came to the right guy if you want to.
Guess what? I'm crazy, Mister.
You came to the right ship, Mister. Yeah, he doesn't say Mr. Hunt. He just calls him Mister.
Yeah, he just says Mister funny over and over.
Which is a guy
Katie O'Brien
pulled out of the water, and they're like, "You're crazy, Mister."
Well, here's to get here, so Tom Cruise turns himself in, he's talking to the government, and then we get that scene where like he blew up the Kremlin. Well, the bomb was actually meant for him, lol. Like this whole dossier scene, it's very weird.
So we get the return of Kittredge, again, another character from the first movie, Eugene Kittredge. Henry Czerny, who came back for the last movie. And we get, of course, President Angela Bassett. We get all these random cameos of these intelligence heads, Nick Offerman, the general, and President
and
Angela
the others.
Bassett says, "Oh, we're going to arrest you, of course." And then she actually lets him go, and she says, "Okay, Ethan, you've got 72 hours. Go do your thing."
Hey, take my letter over to see the good people at Apple TV on a certain soccer show, and we'll just get you on your way. And he said,
Right.
Got it. I'll go visit the Ted Lasso.
Another military lady,
yeah,
who from the Ted Lasso show, which I've never seen,
Anna Waddington
or whatever,
who's also in Lilo and Stitch, which released the same weekend.
Oh, that's funny.
So she's making money after that movie.
Yeah, and then she writes a date, something 1996, and then that's supposed to mean something to this other lady, but that's never really explained. So I was confused about that. I was like, what?
The year the first film was released. Is that what it's about?
No, it's about, that's the day I think she lost someone because they didn't make the difficult call. They didn't take the risk. So it's like reminding us, we don't want to lose anyone else. You got to trust Ethan Hunt. And a lot of this is like, this is Ethan Hunt. He's a crazy asshole. He's a fucking crazy idiot. We shouldn't give him anything. Give him everything.
That kind of all went over my head because I was like, he meets this military lady just to go to another submarine to meet another military guy and a bunch of people on that submarine. And like you said, there's a million characters in this movie.
Because here's the thing. This is, as you said, it's Christopher McQuarrie, who's become Tom Cruise's sort of co-guy. They met on Valkyrie, a BS movie from the villain we don't talk about. The Let's Kill Nazis, or Let's Kill Hitler Nazi movie.
In a meeting, yep.
Christopher McQuarrie, big screenwriter, who of course did the huge twist film, what's it called? Usual Suspects, right? Wins the Academy Award for that.
Oh, right. Usual Suspects.
For writing that film. And is a big deal, but directs a movie It's a horrible bomb and basically is in movie jail. Ends up being like a cleanup guy. Again, Tom Cruise links up with him, and as we've said, now he is his guy. Jack Reacher in the Mission Impossible films. That's sort of what they've done together, right?
That's right. Jack Reacher is the 9th Mission Impossible movie. That's what we forgot.
That's right. That's what Jacob was referring to earlier.
Yeah.
What's funny is, Tom Cruise always finds these directors for the Mission Impossible. Even going back to, like you said, J.J. Abrams, the 3rd movie, that was his first directorial debut of a film. And that's because Tom Cruise specifically picked him out and he said, I like this show called Alias. Let's get the guy that made Alias.
Let's get that vibe.
And he did that for 2. He's like, I like this John Woo guy. Let's get John Woo to direct.
John Woo, let's do his first American film. Brad Bird, an animator, let's do his first live action film. You can't say Tom Cruise isn't interesting, but specifically the Christopher McQuarrie of it all, I think this is where this web of so many cameos and such convoluted plots, and basically the entire gimmick of this film is setting up the domino of our hero next to these characters like Hannah Waddingham doing this horrible American accent where she can be like, do you understand the stakes of like the world that you're in? And Tom just going, yes, ma'am. Absolutely, ma'am. What's the Tremel Tillman line? He's like, what you're asking me to do is crazy. Do you understand that? Yes, sir. Yes, I do, sir. And he just constantly, confirms these reset up stakes of how big they are. And again, I mean, Mike, you zeroed in. I think it's the first criticism you said is that it just feels so ballooned out of control at this point.
Because of those scenes, too. Like, the world is going crazy. Do you understand? Yes, sir. I know this sounds crazy, but you just got to trust me. I'm asking you to please trust me. We get 7 of those scenes in this.
Yes.
Yeah. The movie starts with... First, we get some VO from President Angela Bassett, who's sending a message to Ethan Hunt, like, the world is in turmoil. There's cults that have arisen that are worshiping the entity. There's, chaos everywhere.
Plot that never really pays off.
Fake news. The entity is changing the news and
wants us scared, paranoid against each other. America and Ukraine battling it out. And you're like, oh, boy.
Yeah. Again, I would join the cult of the entity and be one of those protesters. Like,
after your screening, for sure. And that's another kind of theme that rings a little thin in this. Is Tom Cruise is saying like, it wants us separated and working against each other. We got to come together. We got to come together.
Don't you understand? The entity caused January 6th.
That's what the entity wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
The only thing you can do right now to outsmart it is to trust me. That line is said about 10 times.
Yes.
Yeah. You're like, I get it.
Take care of my suit.
The over exposition of everything, especially in that first hour, it's just like too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
And with all the intermediaries, because we do go from war room to aircraft carrier to another aircraft to submarine. To another submarine.
So he goes to this aircraft carrier just to get to this super top secret submarine that Tremel Tillman is the captain of. That's like the USS Ohio or whatever I think it's called.
Yeah. Skibbity Ohio.
We go from the George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier to the USS Ohio.
Skibbity Ohio toilet submarine.
Yeah, and so then also on top of that,
we're out here to find the Russian submarines, the top secret ones. Yeah.
And then even that, when they're like, what's on our radar? Oh, this submarine, it's the most dangerous, deadly Russian submarine that's ever
existed.
Right behind us.
My job is to find the craziest, badass thing. Oh, okay, well.
Yeah, the stakes are so high.
Right, what are you up to? Oh, this? It's just a diving suit that's theoretically designed to give you really bad diarrhea.
You're gonna fucking die if you don't get into a decompression chamber in 2 seconds.
Loser. There's this kind of this energy of like the movie yelling at you the entire time. Like, don't you understand how serious this is?
How dangerous what I'm doing is?
I do.
Like, yeah.
I get it.
Just so there's a lot of that to get to the first action thing that is the submarine, which I think this is done well. And you see the behind the scenes, and I'm like, like they're going crazy to shoot this stuff with a big tumbling kind of set
that
with
was
water.
Crazy. The whole Tom Cruise on the Sebastopol alone, getting the hard drive. The Sebastopol, which was the submarine that blew up in 2012 because the entity.
We need the source code
on it. Yeah, we need the original source code of the entity so we can destroy it. We can put the poison pill in it.
Upload it over Wi-Fi.
Does mean Dead Reckoning?
Oh no.
What's that?
I'm gonna look.
Does Sebastopol mean Dead Reckoning? Did we ever decide on that?
Venerable
No.
City
In
is what
terms-
I'm seeing.
Interesting, because two characters say this will be your final reckoning in this film: Gabriel and Henry Czerny.
The sum of all your choices, Mr.
Your
Hunt.
final reckoning. Which, has anyone ever said anything will be your reckoning to either of you guys?
No, I don't think seriously.
Not yet.
Yeah,
Well,
Shea
something I
Wiggum
noticed
does
with
tell
these
him
last
to.
two movies that they really highlighted is the whole, obviously the whole, your mission, should you choose to accept it.
He has
Should
to
you
choose.
choose to accept? Do you
It
ever
is a
wonder what
choice.
you were choosing?
You're the
And they're
chosen
really
one.
going into
If he
Yeah.
ever chooses, that is.
Yeah,
and
we have a
that's really
choice to
just
make here.
just what they said before each mission, like should you choose to accept it, but they turn it into this whole like philosophy behind the whole IMF,
It's
right?
like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Now we
Some
get a
of your
big
life is
speech at the end.
choices.
Yeah, it's all about.
Yeah.
We have a choice to do the right thing right now, and the choice is to trust me.
It's like the Spider-Man, like with great choices comes great responsibility.
'Cause-
Should you choose to accept it?
great outcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this scene. What do you guys think of the submarine getting the computer out of Cerebro? I thought that brain
Is
ring looked
there-
like
is-
Cerebro.
The moments where he's like opening door to door and like letting more and more water in, and obviously that's
Seeing
shifting
dead
the
bodies.
pressure around, and it's kind of like going.
They
Seeing
built
dead
that.
bodies that have been there since 2012, you have to imagine,
Yeah.
when this thing like crashed, and they've got no eyeballs anymore, even though they're perfectly like preserved.
Right.
But when he's moving that stuff around and it's like moving the ship, would there be air in there if he wasn't just wearing his suit, or would that all just like kill you and it's just all eventually going to be full of water?
I would think because they
You know what
have
I mean?
multiple chambers that are separated by bulkheads. So wherever the bomb blew up, definitely flooded. But there are some chambers that would probably still be.
Where it's like trapped
Airlocked.
in there. Like obviously it's not
Yeah.
producing more air, Mike. That's
But
I
just-
don't know. I just kept
it's-
thinking like that suit seems horrifying, but like I guess he can't just take his helmet off here. But then later in the moment when he gets down to his thong, I was like, I guess I don't understand the rules about this at all.
For the second time in this movie that he does fight in his underwear. They had to have so much running. They added a treadmill scene on the submarine. Like we're gonna have you run stationary too.
They have to show off how fit he looks for a 65-year-old. But yeah, and I was also confused, like how deep is this submarine in the water? Because at one point, like when he's leaving the submarine, his mask gets caught on it. He has to ditch the mask. And
I
then
think
he's just
after that he swims about
freeballing it.
2 miles up. to
Yeah,
the
it's like,
surface.
how are you holding your breath that long? Like,
1700
not even
meters,
Ethan Hunt
yeah.
can do that. Come on.
No, and here's the other thing for that scene too. The submarine. Every time he goes to a chamber, it floods and it's rolling. And it's like it's not only like crazy flooded and there's missiles in there, but now it's gonna fall off a sea cliff. Oh, it's just so tense.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Like an ocean bench. Or
Literally, he gets away like seconds before it just like explodes. But then they're really highlighting like the effects of the bends that it will have on him, the decompression when he's going back up to the surface. Like, look, you don't understand. You're gonna fucking die. Like your whole body's gonna just like
Fart.
collapse.
Your lungs will explode.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of
Our
lung stuff in
decompression
this
chamber.
movie.
He's
Between
like,
this
"Sir,
and Benji.
your decompression chamber was never part of the plan."
You're gonna
So
have to
I've
do
got
it.
a tube. Don't you know about my tube?
Oh,
I
that
guess I
is
don't
true.
know about
understand
my
at all
sled
what
dog.
that thing is. Like later when he's just going like, oh, and like having the shakes, she's like, good, you're okay, Ethan, and like just like rubbing him and stuff, and they're both in there together. I'm
That's
like,
the portable decompression chamber.
but like, what's it
State of the
doing to
art.
her? I guess is my question.
Yeah,
He's also
well-
decompressing her.
For
She's
what?
already decompressed, so she can just be in there. It just
Yeah.
brings
Okay,
him to
I guess. What
baseline.
is
Yeah,
this?
Have to
Dude,
cuddle in
Mike.
there for a little bit.
it just does magic. It's a cuddle room.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess.
But this is where I want to get into my crazy fan theory because Ethan gets out of the submarine, he gets the hard drive or whatever, and he swims up, and we get this inverted, like the camera flips, and he gets up to the ice.
Yeah.
And then Grace kind of
passes out.
pulls him out, right?
Yeah.
He's under the ice
Right.
when he passes out. I don't know how.
Oh, and
she
somehow
found
they
him.
have the coordinates to find them. I guess we'll touch on what those guys were doing.
Which they said the receiver picks him up within 2 miles. So somehow they pinpointed it perfectly.
Right.
She saw him under the ice and got him out in time before he died.
And gave him CPR. But I think here's my theory now. He did die. And he is Christ. He is Christ figure because he's reborn. He gets
Well,
a
he
St.
did,
Christopher medal. We have a cruciform key. I mean, there's
That's
a lot
right.
of Christ imagery. Grace replaces Faust. We can't have a
Anti-God.
devil character, anti-God.
Joseph Faust. That's right.
Yes, look at
Wow.
my
But
conspiracy.
you know what?
Yeah.
Jason
This
Faust.
isn't even the first time that he's like technically died, because in Rogue Nation, if you remember, he had another scene where
Yeah.
he had to be underwater and hold his breath for a long time,
Yeah.
and then he did pretty much die, and like Benji had to like shock him back to life.
Yeah, how those brain cells doing? Ethan?
Yeah,
They
right.
doing okay?
Yeah.
Just trust me. But yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of imagery like that of him. You were the chosen one, Ethan. This is your purpose.
But like, I kind of thought, Mike, didn't you think maybe by the end of the film, because two characters, also the president and Gabriel, also say, "We're in the entities world now." Didn't you feel
Don't
like
you
we were
understand?
still going to be revealed to be in like the tomb or the coffin that Ethan was
Oh,
getting his
shoot.
brain downloaded into, and that like all this had been like in the entity or something?
That would have been crazy. No, I had not
Yeah,
even thought of
crazy.
that. That's explains the
There's also this
probability.
Your
this whole
secrets
angle
and
where
lies.
Grace is like, look, maybe you should be in control of the entity, and you should
She
be
this
the god
Yes.
emperor of the
set
world.
her up to be sort of like a traitor. There's this plot with Nick Offerman that I'm not positive I understand.
I
at
love
all,
this
where,
one.
Like,
Right.
it seems like he's being set up to be a traitor.
He's the
but
bad
really
guy, but
he
then
was
really
going
he's
to
gonna
kill
kill
a
the bad
traitor
guy.
if he saw
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I
No.
didn't really follow any of those.
No, this is
Also-
my favorite one. It's so bad.
Yeah, and then there's
Yeah.
also, just to mention, Angela Bassett has a son that she's like,
My
oh, what
boy.
about your son? It's in the military or whatever. And it's like, that goes nowhere. And it's
Thanks,
like, well, what are
Mom.
we doing?
We're
people?
thinking about the next generation. I'm not just the president, but I'm a mother. What am I
And this is
leaving legacy
kinda
for my
like-
children?
Yeah.
And Jacob keeps talking about the first hour being like the roughest. I just want to point out that it's all throughout all of it, because all these scenes happen so late. And when an Inuit character is pantomiming how to drive a sled and how to kill a bear, and then we get no scenes about that, it's sort of just this like little setup moment for like a joke in this 3-hour movie. I am truly going like, well, they've lost like any editing part. Like they just have no control of the narrative of this movie at all.
No, none.
Yeah. All of the stuff with Angela Bassett and the intelligence heads and all that stuff, like,
Just goes
could have been
nowhere.
cut.
It's
And all this-
horrible.
They keep cutting back to these people like, oh, we're gonna have to sacrifice an American city if we blow up all these other cities. And then she doesn't do it. She doesn't push the button.
The Doctor Who
Um,
guy and I have talked it over, and Seattle's got to go. We've decided it's over.
Yeah,
And they're like,
because
"Good
they're
Lord."
gonna blow up 8 cities like London, Moscow, Beijing, like every
Pyongyang,
country that has
yeah.
Nukes.
So they've all lost control of their nukes because of the entity.
So like
yeah.
we need to blow up all the nukes with our nukes before the entity can use our nukes to blow up all the nukes.
But we have to blow up one of our cities to show that it's not we're not just blowing up other
Good
countries.
faith.
We're blowing up
We
our
have no
Yeah, we're not going to
choice.
target anything. It's just it'll be what Colt says. You got to understand. It's going to be so awkward after we win this whole entity thing. After we've blown up all these other cities, everybody's going to be
start a
so
world war,
pissed at
yeah.
us. We should blow up one of ours too. And they go like, "Give me the report."
Tel Aviv.
Yeah. How many
We're gonna blow up that
casualties?
one for
The guy
sure.
from the black guy from the Mandalorian who plays that like dirty pirate is like, well,
Oh, right.
here's the paper that says like,
You have and that guy was in Top Gun Maverick too. So I think Tom
Yes,
Cruise just
yeah.
likes that guy. He's like,
He loves
get
that
that guy.
Get that guy.
Right.
That guy's got a
And
great
the other lady
voice.
the lady from Ozarks is in it.
I have no
The
idea.
The
who
other
that
blonde
lady was.
blonde
Yeah.
lady.
Oh,
that's,
right.
like, one of the-
I remember who. But
Yeah.
I don't know
those
who these
scenes
people's jobs are supposed to be, what any of this is supposed to mean.
not
They're all
clearly,
just
but
high ups in the government
Again,
or in the
In the real
Pentagon.
world now, it would be children of our dictator and a weird South
It would
African
be
man in a red hat.
Tulsi Gabbard and Cash Patel and all
Oh.
these
Yeah.
weirdos.
We gotta
that
Pete
kill
Hegseth.
Americans.
Pete
We should
Hegseth.
launch a nuke that only hits trans people. And you're like, no, that's not what the entity cares about. You're not listening.
maybe we should blow up all the liberal cities as a gesture.
We're gonna blow up
Yeah.
all the woke cities.
San
Uh,
Francisco, New York, they're gone.
The entity, the woke entity, they say it has the woke mind virus, and we must
the
destroy
woke
it.
mind entity has infected us all. Not
Yes.
me.
But these scenes are, government just being like, Oh my God, the stakes, they're just so high. Can you do you understand how high the stakes are? They're so high right now. It's crazy.
You
But
have to trust the goodwill and nature of our leaders is what every one of these scenes comes down to, and it couldn't be
Yeah.
played more like a joke in modern society.
which again, this is like 90s movie era, like America, and like,
Yes.
like a Independence Day level of like, and the big wigs of the government are there. Everybody's here.
And you have even the President Angela Bassett, who of course was in Fallout. She was like the head of the Pentagon or something.
It is
in
CIA or
Fallout.
something.
She
Head of
takes
the
over
CIA.
after Alec Baldwin's killed.
And her whole thing is that she's like ruthlessly effective, like efficient, like whatever needs to be done for the mission, right? And then now in this one, she's like, well, I can't bomb all these cities, so I'm not going to press the button. And it's like, that's not what your character was in Fallout. But
Well, because
okay.
that's what the entity wants her to do. Tom Cruise explained it. That's what the entity wants. That's why we have to
That's
do
Right.
everything
But also,
different.
how often does the head of the CIA become the president? I don't think that's ever happened.
It's
in the
George
history of
H.W.
America.
Bush.
Oh, I guess that's true. Okay.
Wow,
you're
there
right.
you go.
Totally
Um,
refuted me.
But this Nick Offerman thing, can I break it down? It's so good. It's so
Please,
bad.
Yeah.
I couldn't track a moment of this.
So in the beginning they
Takes a
say,
sidearm. Yeah.
yeah, at the beginning of the movie they say, oh, these cultists, they've infiltrated every level of the government and military. They could be anywhere. So they do set it
Even
up.
on
That's
this
why Knife
submarine.
Guy is on the submarine. Correct.
That's the guy who fights him while he's jogging. Yeah.
Yeah.
So even at the higher ups, we got Nick Offerman, and she's saying, I'm not going to do the nuke thing. I don't know how I feel. So he asked for a sidearm to set up, oh, he might betray her. And then when she
I
says she's
love
not
the
going
nuke thing.
Correct. And then she doesn't do the nukes. And then we get another guy pull a gun on her, and then he shoots that guy. And then
Yeah,
what does
but
he do?
also gets shot. And
Yes.
He sacrifices himself.
He
essentially.
sacrifices himself, but in this moment, he looks at the gun in horror and sets it down. He's thinking, what would I have been capable of doing? As if to me or Angela Bassett putting down the nuclear controls. What could we be capable of?
Did you guys
in
notice
fear?
he was shot through the fruit salad? All the fucking
Through his-
awards
all
he
his
had.
medals,
There were a couple
yeah.
of bullets.
Right.
Oh, he's a
but it's
great
so
general.
silly.
He had all these medals.
Yeah,
And then he
great
says,
general.
ooh, how primitive. And he throws down
Big,
the gun.
strong
right?
general.
Exactly.
Tears in his eyes, came up
In
to me
shock.
saying, Mr. Trump, we have to nuke the entity.
Nuke the entity.
I remembered
Uh.
Barron's in the army, so I said, no, we're not doing it.
Right.
Right.
I think the entity
Barron's
is at
good with
Harvard.
computers. He's going to talk to the entity.
No,
Elon says we
Elon's talking
need
to the
nuke
entity.
Yeah.
Elon's already
Oh my
conferred
goodness.
with it. But yeah, that whole stuff is very silly. What is the
Doge
side
on
crew
the
doing?
entity.
Mm. Sorry.
Okay, so the side crew, yeah, they need to go to this listening post on this island,
Marco
To
Island or whatever
get
it
the
is.
the coordinates of the Sevastopol, so they can find the Sevastopol. They can send that to Tom Cruise, to Ethan Hunt, who's waiting in the submarine to get the signal. Blah blah blah.
And then he'll be dropped off and go.
And then they'll find him in the ice cap within 1 square meter later.
Yeah. So they show up to this house, and they're like, "Okay, this is like a top secret listening post or whatever. It's probably gonna be super high tech." They walk in, and now this is actually the clever callback to Mission
Mhm.
Impossible that I liked. Not
Same.
the Jim Phelps, Shea Wiggum stuff. That was stupid. But this I did like. They bring back William Dunlow
Dunlop.
from William Dunlow from the first Mission Impossible movie. The guy that when Ethan Hunt breaks into the vault, the famous scene where he comes down from the roof,
Mhm.
he leaves the knife behind by accident. His sweat drips, blah blah blah. It's got all these high tech sensors and stuff. The guy that's walks in there, that guy, William Donlow, is the same guy that's at this listening post now, with his Inuit wife.
Ethan, it's all been building to this.
I don't blame you. You actually made my life better by getting me fired from
You know
the
what?
CIA. But that is a
Right.
good piece of
Right.
writing,
I
though.
would
Like,
never
I got
found my
fired and they
happiness.
shipped me up here. Yeah.
I
Same
loved
day,
all
yeah.
that.
Yeah, this is fun.
I loved it too. I thought it was really funny. And because I think they do mention in Mission Impossible, send that guy to like the Arctic or whatever. That guy's like fired from his job the
Mhm.
same day. And then he's been there ever since, 30 years. And he met his wife there. He's never been happier. And it's all thanks to you, Ethan. So thank you. Here's your knife
These
back.
20 sled dogs.
What
Yeah,
do you
need
here's
to
your
do?
knife back.
I've been holding on to this knife for 30 years in case I run
I'm
into
actually the one
Ethan
who
Hunt.
noticed the first original signal from the
Sevastopol.
entity and from this Vestipol, and I
Yeah.
warned them all this time, and then a man came one day to upgrade my materials, and it's
I knew it was a
Carrie Elwes from the
cover-up.
last movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
in a short flashback, and he was rude to my wife, which I didn't like it at
When
all.
that means I hated him.
But they bring back the same actor that was in Mission Impossible, which I did
Who is
like.
this guy?
I mean, again, it's like the Henry Czerny, Kittredge thing from the last movie. I like when they do that. They're tying it all back together. Of course, they don't bring anyone back for Mission Impossible 2, but that's okay. We don't talk
We get
about
this
that
guy, but
Right.
Jeremy Renner can't ever walk again. Like, what's going on here?
one. Right.
But yeah, we get the knife saves Benji's life with Paris. She uses it
That's
to
right.
make the
It all
incision.
comes back around.
That's right, boy.
That's right.
And when he meets Ethan Hunt later, he's like, "I finally get to meet you. I think this belongs to you." And he gives him the knife. What a moment!
Says, "You're such a great guy, Ethan." But yeah, the Russians are there, convoluted. You know, oh, we're actually already here. We're gonna have a fight scene, I guess.
You need those coordinates.
Oh, but this okay, yes, and again, back to the point. We already have a key negating the entire previous film. That kills me.
Who's this? Who's
kills
this
me.
guy? The Russian guy. This guy looked really familiar.
I don't know. Yeah, he did look familiar.
He did
I think
look
he's
familiar.
Been a Russian.
Has he played
villain
a villain in like every film about Russia in the
think
last
so,
10
yeah.
years?
I'll have to pull
I'm
it
gonna
up
look up-
before.
If I can find who this guy.
Search
Russian
him out.
guy.
He kinda just does his greatest hits in this scene. It's not super great, and it leaves me again with a feeling when characters like Grace and Sidekick Boy are like, just tell the truth. Here's what's going on. Would you believe me? Where I'm like,
yeah.
how did we end up with the whiniest crew? Like, none of you are coming off like IMF agents.
Right. Ilsa
Yeah.
Faust would do better.
She would have fucking killed these
You're a
guys in 2
disgrace,
seconds.
Grace.
And Paris, let her loose. Like, let her loose on these guys.
And I don't think they kill any of them because at one point they're like, "F, all right, they're transmitting it. Cabin's on fire.
think
We
they
got
might
the
have-
coordinates."
The Russian guy
they
yells,
might have shot some of them.
we're listening, so run away.
Yeah, they all just leave. A couple got shot maybe, but yeah, it's like, okay, now we're gone. So very weird. But they transmit the wrong coordinates. They're on the opposite side of the world, and Tom Cruise figures it out. Like, oh, we got to do the inverse coordinates. Silly stuff.
This Russian guy's name is Pasha D. Blinchnikov, and I believe he just does play a lot of Russian henchmen.
You know what? I saw him in that. Oh God, Jacob, who is that black guy who used to write for Conan? Do you remember who sort of kind of had his own kind of like a little bit of comedy career?
No.
He ended up kind of having this kind of Breaking Bad style TV show that was about a Russian mob being caught up against him, and this guy played the big bad in that show.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but he has a huge role in this. He's in 3 scenes.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
I'm looking at credits. If he just plays a lot of guys named Boris and Ivan and stuff. And he was in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Indiana Jones. He played the Russian soldier in that.
There we go. That's probably right. Another MacGuffin movie.
Dion Cole, Jacob.
Keon Cole. Yeah.
Remember Dion Cole?
Not familiar. I don't know.
Well, moving on.
Moving on.
We basically get to the final finale, the third act proper, and we still need to get the poison pill because Gabriel stole it. You know, Gabriel still has that, so Gabriel comes back into the movie at this point.
Hey, brother, there's a
We
message.
didn't even talk
on that
about
pill, brother.
Right.
You know, Grace goes with this guy William Donlow's Inuit wife to take care of the sled dogs, and they get away in the sled to go take the decompression chamber to Ethan, and that's when we get this whole where she's communicating with her and telling her about got to shoot a bear if you see a bear.
You'll have to drive the sled because I have to sleep, I guess, is what she's implying to her.
And then we don't know what Benji and everybody else who is at the burning cabin, what they do for this entire stretch of time until eventually they're on a plane. She's just by herself with some sled dogs and picks up Tom Cruise.
Now, Tom Cruise has a big baby nightmare. When he gets the mask on, he sees the spookies and he gets a real bad dream. And he comes out and he says, Grace, never get on the ice. Don't get on the ice, Grace. And she says, you got it. Because he sees this vision of a nuke going off underneath where the Sevastopol, where he has like gotten the hard drive or whatever, and that it's going to lead to their death. Okay. After this scene with the Inuit woman and the big rescue on the boat, we cut to her on the ice in the pressure tunnel, giving him the big hug to like calm his Ben's addled
you're all
brain
right.
down.
Right.
They're on the ice. What
Yeah.
was the warning? What is any of that? What did any?
I don't know.
There's so many things that like characters say in this where I'm like, what is it? What are you talking about?
Well, because he was scared that if he made a mistake, she was gonna die, and I want to protect my crew because I'm Tom Cruise and I love my crew.
Cruise.
And then as soon as he wakes up, the first thing he does is like, wait, where is it? Where is it? Do I have the thing? Because my mission is so important. Like that's the first thing he
If
thinks
you
about.
were
Hard
the one in
drive.
charge, only one person could be Ethan, and it's you.
It's the reverse Star Wars
the
speech.
Podkova.
Yeah.
The Podkova is what
The
they keep calling it.
Podkova.
By the
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
I just want to tell you, okay, the people that are with President Angela Bassett, all these heads of state or whatever, I'm going to tell you who they all are supposed to be, okay?
Thank
Tell
you.
me.
Holt McCallany, the dad from the Iron Claw, is the Secretary of Defense.
Okay.
Janet Mateer, who was in Ozark, she was the Secretary of State. Nick Offerman is an Army general, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, I guess.
Mm.
And by the way, and then we have Hannah Waddingham. Like we said, she's Rear Admiral Neely.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to mention this. So Shea Wiggum's other agent friend who joins the crew, do you know his name in this movie?
The character's name?
Yeah, or the actor.
I'm going to say, okay, so to both. I'm going to say the actor's name is Scooty McScoot, and that the character's name is Hot Tub David. Is that right?
His name is Theo Degas in the movie. Remember, they keep calling him Degas.
Do they?
Okay.
Who calls him that, if I may ask?
People in the crew. But this actor's name is Greg Tarzan Davis. Greg Tarzan.
Tarzan.
Middle name is Tarzan.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool, actually.
He was, I guess, do you remember he was also in Top Gun Maverick? So I guess Tom Cruise was just like, let's get that guy.
Oh, he's just picking up his boys.
He's one of the
I
guys.
like that.
Do
you think he asked Glenn Powell to be in these movies, and Glenn was?
Well, there's
like,
the rumor of like, so they're saying like, oh, is this the last Mission Impossible movie? And Tom Cruise was like, well, maybe there'll be like spin-offs or whatever. And then there's a rumor that he wanted Glenn Powell to be in a Mission Impossible spin-off, like The Next Generation.
Sure.
But then Glenn Powell like denied it in a talk show or something. So who knows? But
IMF class,
maybe
for college
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
but
High
he played
school.
Coyote in Top Gun Maverick. Greg Tarzan Davis. Theo
Nice.
Degas.
If my middle name was Tarzan, I would go by Tarzan.
Yeah. What's up,
You want to
Tarzan?
go by Greg?
Nice to
Greg
meet you.
Tarzan Davis.
What up, Tarzan?
That's like an NFL name. Greg Tarzan Davis.
But
And why did he joins the crew, but Shea Wiggum's like, no, this Ethan Hunt, we got to catch
I know who
him
you
now."
are. And when this all shaken out, I'm going to get my time with you, boy.
You're
Mhm.
Jim
Do
Phelps
what?
Jr.
For me to tell you a story about how your
You killed my
French
dad.
poor mom made me have like some sort of strange cuck affair with. Do you guys even remember the plot of the first movie?
Well, there's
First-
another time. So do you remember that Vanessa Kirby is the daughter of the
Yes.
bad lady from the first movie on the train?
Vanessa Redgrave.
Vanessa
Mhm.
Redgrave? Like, you guys probably didn't remember that.
I
Yeah,
didn't.
Tom Cruise has fucked all of these old, various weird women, and now all of their children are like, I heard you had sex with my mommy. It's like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
It's Ethan, baby. But we got to get the poison pill. I stopped wanting to hear that word too. I just don't think it's
Poison
good
pill.
terminology. The
Luther-
poison pill. Luther's poison
People
pill.
don't understand. Luther, it's the state of the art poison
Luther, are
pill.
you poisoned? What is going on here?
Yeah.
Brother, I love you, brother.
Brother,
I'm looking down on you from heaven, brother.
I said it a couple seconds ago as a joke, but there is a moment, because we didn't really talk about the explosion of him
Right.
blowing himself up, but where he says, I left you a message, brother. When it's all done, brother, it's go play, brother. And I forgot about that, and the payoff was
And then it
really
plays
good at the end
in
of
the
this
end.
movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scene, it was sad to see Luther's
Yeah, it
final
was.
scene where
Well, yeah,
You know,
dog.
Gabriel locks this gate or whatever. So Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt shows up. He can't get in. He's like, look, you got no time to get in the gate.
Yep.
I got to de-arm this bomb. I can make it so
I
that it only
already
blows up
tried.
this tunnel.
I already tried to open the gate. Not on camera or anything, because obviously I'm going to sit for this whole scene again. But I did stand up and try to open that gate, I promise.
Dude,
and you're like,
you're
not
right.
a chance did Ving Rhames ever stand up for this movie.
Yeah.
That's
Look,
true.
I can make it so that it only blows up this tunnel. You can run out of here. You can do your classic Ethan
It'll
Hunt
kill
run.
anybody who's walking. So obviously, I'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay here and die now, but you go on.
You
I love you,
go.
brother.
What were we gonna retire?
We knew
Yeah,
what we
what are
was
we gonna
doing
go
when we
fishing?
started this. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
knew this is my life.
But Tom
This
doesn't
is,
want to
I
leave him.
need this.
But you're my crew. I can't
Just
let you
hand
do
me
it,
know,
Luther.
seems like you're dying
Luther, hand me
anyway.
the screwdriver. Luther,
Luther?
it's okay. It's okay, Luther. Just hand me the screwdriver, Luther.
I'm going to take these hinges off. Yeah.
Oh,
Get out of
man.
here. Go on, get out of
You
here.
got a darkness
going.
in your heart, baby boy, brother.
The world needs you, brother.
Like it
World
is. You're
needs you.
watching. You're basically watching a guy have like a midlife crisis meltdown, right?
Like,
Yeah.
this is my last Mission Impossible paycheck I'm gonna get. Ving Rhames signing off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told this
But
story
that-
about how he said Tom Cruise is the best producer because he knows that when you need lobster from Maine.
That's right.
Tom Cruise is always get my back every couple years. I know I'm gonna get that Mission
Every couple
Impossible
years, I get
paycheck.
that sweet
Home,
money.
I sit around, I do some computer stuff, and then I get some paychecks.
I'm his big black friend who gets to say things like, "You don't understand what Ethan's been through. His heart,
You've got a great
His heart
home.
is too big. Yep. It's so good.
We
But
love
that
you,
does
Ving
set up
Rhames.
another repeat where Gabriel has the same thing because basically we could get the nuclear part of the bomb to not go off, but the detonators still explode. That's what gets Luther.
Yeah.
So then we have
It's
a
gonna take out
repeat
the
of that.
local air tunnel, but
Yep.
Yeah.
and then we get kind of a mirror of
Yeah.
this scene with Benji, where you think, oh, is Benji also going to die?
Mhm.
Oh,
But
sure.
then,
Yeah.
the reveal is, of course, that he lives. And Paris saves him with that, emergency procedure.
Right.
Monday.
So the proper climax is kind of here. The setup to it though is like Ethan knows where to go because of his visions from when he talked to the entity when he's strapped into the cyberpunk chamber. He knows it's this big data center. It's the library data of all mankind.
What was that all about? When he went in that thing and talked to the entity for a while.
Why
Gabriel
does
had to
this
do that
thing
every
tell
time.
him that he has to do. He gets out of it. And he goes, "Give me a piece of paper. This is the entire plot of this whole movie." And you go like, so it told him everything it has to do to
you don't
get him
understand.
to this exact.
It wants me to
moment?
do that, but I'm going to do the opposite of what it wants
But
me to
he
do. But it knows I'm
never.
gonna do the
But he,
opposite.
Jacob,
Yeah.
I agree that is sort of what it's
What
set
is
up
said.
as, but he never pulls their. He seems to follow it to a T, regardless.
Yeah.
They do exactly what he
I don't
wrote
know,
on the
Congo.
paper. Yeah.
Everybody knows the fallout shelter in the Congo, where it's a trillion terabyte drive.
Right.
Yep.
We have this
Okay.
5D terabyte, 300
Optical
terabyte
drive.
disk optical drive that we're going to capture the entity in.
It's a data crystal. We're going to
10
capture him.
milliseconds. Yeah.
Blink of an eye.
It's it. Can I say real quick, because I know our boys here. I know what we love. To
Mhm.
reference Star Trek real quick.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
It is the episode of Next Generation where the Moriarty hologram has come to life, where at the end they have
sure.
to trap him in a tiny version of the holodeck so that he's
To just
perceiving
live out his
that
own
he has
life.
that he has moved on to something else.
Escaped.
They're
Yeah.
coming up with a trap that the entity cannot think past. They say it will like hypnotize it into believing it has taken over the world, where you're like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to say, I think the problem with the entity, and by extension Gabriel, their whole plan in this movie is the entity reminds me a lot of the Joker from The Dark Knight, where it's he seemingly has a plan,
all
but he's just
according
kind
to
of
plan.
making it up as he goes and just improving. And I feel like that's what Gabriel is doing as well.
But he also, back to my original issue with the villain, it used to be that you could have the physical representation or presence by having Gabriel around. This film instead takes the move to take them both out of the movie. Never is there a moment where Ethan Hunt gets a text that's like, "You're on track, but remember what's at stake here."
Yes.
Signed, the entity, or
Right.
that Gabriel shows up and is like, "Very good, you've almost got my poison pill." You know what I mean? It's like the opening is he gets a message, he gets an email in his brain that is like, "Follow this to a T. We don't get to see that, and then the rest of this movie is that unfolding in a very unexciting way.
Yeah.
Again, if you remember how powerful the entity seemed in the last movie and how like
Yes.
omnipotent and like it just
It's erasing
every
people in real
conceivable-
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's
Yeah.
thought of every conceivable outcome because it can
Yeah.
think, algorithms 15 billion times per second.
Yeah.
And this one, it's more about like, we don't want anyone to be able to have power over the entity. So
Like,
we need to put it on this disk drive or whatever.
why not download itself to a drone and just like follow around or like blow things up?
Yeah.
Like, it
Well-
can have a physical presence. Is that too Terminator? I don't understand this.
No, I'm with you there because its only presence in the movie is turning a map from yellow to red. Like that's all it
Right.
does.
It's getting
Like
control
effect
of the
that it has.
nuclear
Is
arsenals.
that we
but
cut back and forth
yeah.
to basically, Mike,
no, Russia has
our
lost
team
control.
watching a game of Guess Who or Connect Four. Like,
Yeah.
it's them
Yeah.
watching a screen that's like, beep, you've lost this section. My God.
The stakes
if we
are even
don't get all
higher.
the points, we'll wake Daddy. Like, it's true.
It just seemed like the
that
entity
absurd.
It's a
had
movie
so
movie.
much more agency in the last movie where it was like
Yes.
controlling everything and like thinking 2 steps ahead of Ethan. Remember when it's like talking to him on the phone? It's like, oh, you're not Benji, you're the entity.
Ethan,
Uh-huh.
run this way.
Yeah. Oh, I've trapped you.
As it was written, Ethan. Click.
Right.
Right.
No.
And yeah, it's
In,
not doing that in this.
in Neuromancer, the novel, there's a famous scene where the main character is walking past a bunch of payphones, and as he walks past each one, they ring down the line, and then he picks it up, and it's like an AI that's been like interacting with the physical digital world. They could do stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's certainly lacking.
Their whole
in
plan
this.
is essentially just to trap it on a thumb drive.
Well,
Yeah.
the entity itself, what the entity wants to do is nuke all humans and then store itself in the biggest library made by mankind and chill.
And go to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
and he says, "Why would you do that?" And he says,
It's like
and
Ultron.
it says, "Yes,
Hmm.
it is."
It
But it
wants to
says,
destroy humanity and just
"Why would I
unleash-
exist in your world when I could exist in mine?" And you're like,
yeah.
"But isn't your world just the internet? Like, couldn't you just be happy?" I guess, like, what does destroying the planet Earth get you at all?
That's Ultron's
Right.
motive too in the Age of Ultron. Avengers Age,
Yeah.
Age of Ultron.
Why
They need
does-
to get
why does
Paul
Ultron do that,
Bettany.
Jacob?
They need to get the Vision. Download him into the Vision.
Yes.
We'll get Tony
Remember when
Stark.
the Vision is
Luther, I need you to
revealed
build a
be,
vision.
Shea Wiggum Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So terrible,
Entity.
terrible plans. The entity. So we got. This is what confuses me. We got. Hey, Gabriel, I'm not going to give you the thing, but I'm going to give you the thing because that's what I want you to do. Whatever. 4D chess. But then the government
No,
shows
kill
up
him!
and they're
Kill
like,
him now!
right. But before that, the government's like, we got you, bitch, and give us the stuff. We're the government. And then
Trap.
yeah.
give them the stuff, and then Gabriel has more goons that kill the government, and then it's just like, well, that was nothing. It's like a
Why do we
'cause-
do that?
Well, Kittredge always thinks that he can like control Ethan Hunt, but then it's like,
Right.
no, you can't control Ethan Hunt. Only Ethan Hunt
Yeah.
can control Ethan
And there's
Hunt.
yeah.
two scenes where I think they tip off a little bit too heavy on what's going to come forward. The first is in the Sevastopol when the torpedo's kind of like hard to move by that door. I'm like, well, that's definitely sealing that door later.
Mhm.
And then in this scene, when Isai Morales says, "I'm so confident, I have 2 airplanes." I was like,
Yes.
right. Well, why would
Right.
any human being ever say that they have 2 airplanes to
I
escape?
have these analog
Yes.
planes, these biplanes, because
It's
the
actually a
entity
genius
can't control
idea.
them.
He literally says that.
Well, this is
I brought
Tom
spare
Cruise's.
just in case.
That's
Yeah.
his CIA mind hacking. He mind hacks him to say, how are you going to get to minimum safe distance? And he knows he's so arrogant
we
because he
go.
hacked his mind. Yeah.
Also,
I know
who
your
was
IMF mind games?
who was driving that second plane? Just like
Who was that?
The
Gabriel's
guy, the
henchman?
trigger man. He was the guy who had his finger on the bomb. Who, when he gets shoved, it moves, and then we've only got 20 minutes for this nuke to go off, and we have an entire scene where Henry Czerny is like, "Time. What's the time?" And Shea Wiggum is keeping like down to 17, down to 16, and you're like, damn, this nuke is about to blow. And then the next 30 minutes, that thing is counting down to basically within 10 seconds, and 3 of our characters are working on it for so long that you're like, that thing would have been blown up 1,000 times over. And I know that's nitpicky, and that this film always sort of like dilates those sort of like ticking clocks or whatever.
cut the
but
red
this
wire.
this film is so protracted and long and stretched out that by the end of it, when it's dilating those time things even further, it is so noticeable and so fucking frustrating that you're like, blow up and kill everybody. I just want this movie to fucking end.
Yeah.
Blow
Well,
it
it's
up.
like, you don't understand. We have to wait for Ethan Hunt to have a whole fight on a biplane.
Well,
Jump out of said
Jump
plane.
from one to a plane to another plane.
No.
I'm the only one with a this was funny.
Bonk.
Gabriel's final
Oh, yeah.
ending when he said, "Only one of us has a parachute," and then just
Yeah.
immediately like hits his head on the back
That's
of the
what I'm
plane.
like. Wait, was this guy a moron? Like, truly, at the end of it, I'm like, this is who you're telling me was Ethan Hunt's
Yeah,
greatest enemy, the architect of all his pain. And I'm like, this guy seems like a fucking
Yeah.
idiot.
yeah.
And that's the problem. Is like Henry Cavill was a better villain in
Yes.
Fallout. Like Sean Harris was a better villain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Philip Seymour Hoffman was a better villain. So there's been so many
The
more better
Entity
villains.
was a better villain in the last movie.
Yeah.
John
And that's
Boyd
the
was a
James
better
Bond
villain.
problem of trying to one up, like Spectre. You have Christoph Waltz trying to one up Javier Bardem, who was so good
And
in
you can't-
Skyfall. When people are like, "Oh, Javier Bardem, he's like the greatest in
Mm-hmm.
Skyfall." So how are you going to one up that? That's kind of what Again, I feel like this franchise peaked with Fallout, and then like, well, shit, we don't know how to like one up that now.
What do we do?
Right.
So they tried it. They tried, but I just don't think it worked. I think
It were the
Rogue Nation and
Acolytes,
Fallout,
which was the name of the Rogue Nation dead
Yeah.
agents.
The Syndicate.
Who formed the Syndicate, who become this Doomsday Cloak, who was led by Sean Harris, but had the
Right, and
splintering,
then
which was
Henry
the
Cavill,
Apostles,
who was
which
John
was Henry
Lark.
Cavill.
Yeah.
Were they all being made to do that by the puppet master that was the Entity? Is that
Was
why
the Entity the whole
all
time.
these movies have been about nuclear
Well,
total
Sean Harris was
annihilation?
just like an anarchist who just wanted to like cause chaos in the world. Basically, that's
Okay.
what the Syndicate was doing.
The
So it
Entity's
seems
only
like
been,
kind of the same thing that the Entity was doing. But yeah,
but the Entity has only been acting autonomously since 2012 when it blew up that sub.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when
I
it made
guess,
its first
how did
move.
it not in that time get into the bunker then?
I don't know.
That seems
I
so
don't
long to not figure out how to do that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know why they specifically said 2012 so many times. Like, so you were just chilling for like 14
Well,
years as an
We didn't
AI?
have the
Put that
cruciform
mask
key.
on
The
Gabriel
cruciform
and
key
tell him
was
you gotta
missing.
fucking move. You gotta
That's
get
true.
into the bunker.
Well, the Russians have so many copies of the cruciform key too. Yeah, they just had to wait for somebody to want to buy it, and I guess that's when they reached out to Gabriel and they're like, "All right, it's been 14 years. Let me see if I can get a guy to buy my key."
Yeah.
Anyway, airplane scene. Yeah, cool. You're on an airplane, Tom Cruise. That was very cool. It's too
It was
long.
cool, but again, it was like I also feel like the finale of Fallout was better, like with the helicopters.
I
and
didn't
stuff.
understand it. Could those types of planes really just ram each other?
I assume they could.
Well, it kind of, destroys them eventually, right? But
Well,
sort of.
airplanes like biplanes in World War One and stuff, they would get shot up and sometimes not crash. There's non-critical components, I think, that you could survive
Would
some
the
damage
dogfight
to.
literally be with that he's just that Sam Morales is like, I'm knocking you down again, and just like
It is so
ramming it,
silly.
like it's so crazy.
It didn't need
Yeah.
to be two planes. We didn't need two planes. That was
Well,
silly.
how else would he get to the?
I don't know.
He just makes it in time to grab onto Gabriel's. It's
And he
fine.
kind of looks like a dumbass. He keeps like looking back and forth at it on how to put it in there. I'm like, Ethan, put it in and pull your backup parachute. I know you have one. I'm not tricked
Yeah.
for a minute here.
Oh,
Well,
'cause
that's
he's
why I
trying
was
to-
like,
the stakes are so
is this-
high. I got to put this in. Yeah.
I
before
thought
my
maybe
life.
this movie was gonna end with Ethan dying because he jumps out of the plane. Right, he's got the plane catches on fire, and then he jumps out. He pulls his parachute. His parachute catches on fire.
Catches on fire.
Yeah.
And then he's just
So
free
great.
falling, trying to put the poison pill in the dang thing. And I guess he had a backup parachute, but I thought it would have worked better if he just died. Like he puts the poison pill in the podkova and then just in time and then dies.
I don't
Right.
know if that would have been better. The
Like
fact
John Wick, he just needs to die so you can end the
Yes.
franchise.
that I don't trust that they would have handled that well at all, and I certainly don't like what they chose instead, which was this absolutely bizarre, insane scene in London where they're just all outside and he sees his crew and just goes, And they all just kind of like nodded
It's like
thumbs
the ending
up
of
and go,
like several different Mission
another
Impossible,
day.
like
It's-
Ghost Protocol. They all just like, oh, we're all
But
here.
it has no sense of finality in a film that I think overindulged in these Easter eggs and callbacks.
Yeah,
It should have had a bigger
closure.
wrap up to the whole franchise. It just felt like that's another installment of Ethan and
We
crew.
did it again, crew. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote here it's a 6-way Alfred from The Dark Knight Rises.
It is.
Right.
Mike.
Yeah.
It is.
And again, it's
Enjoy your
like
drink, Ethan.
Yeah,
it's like
6 of those.
Palm. I love you, Palm, but like, why are you even in this movie? What
Right,
did you
it's
contribute to the
perfect.
plan?
Yeah,
Like you were
she
just
nods
there
in
to
French,
speak
to be fair.
He's le voit.
Ah, oui, oui. I guess her whole thing is that she saves Benji in the end, and that she's completed her arc of being a killer in the last one
I
to
don't
reform
take lives.
To a lifesaver.
and to saving Benji. Yeah.
Wow.
And she saved
It's-
Ethan and Grace in the last movie in the train thing, right? And that's the big thing.
Yeah, and we'll
Right.
never see the character again.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
I must
like
say,
it.
you know, she is super delightful on the press tour. Palm, it seems
Yeah.
like she's having so much fun, and her character had
She
nothing
was so
to
much
do.
better in the last movie. Like she was so interesting as a henchman. Like she would just show up
As
and be a
mime
badass.
bullfighter or whatever she was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
She was awesome. And now to be demoted to a member of the crew who kind of stands around, and it's just like, man,
And her name is Paris, and she's French.
she's
Is that-
French and her
no?
name is Paris. Yeah,
Is that,
that's
like,
is that lazy
lazy?
writing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Sure.
My
But yeah,
God.
when Tom Cruise lands, he gets to do a sprinting scene again, though, in Africa, like a cheetah.
Loves
He's just out in
running.
the wild,
He's gonna run
sprinting
after
again.
the plane.
Yeah.
You're not gonna catch that plane
I
by
saw
foot.
a comment online when he flipped that Jeep. Did you guys think he was going to Master Chief flip it over? That's what somebody said. It looked like he was at a warthog and he was just gonna like tap it and it would just like flip back up.
I would
That'd
have
be
not been
great.
surprised. Yeah, that's Ethan Hunt style, baby. But yeah, and then we get his what? Also the wrap up with the government. They pick him up on some helicopter and say, "Hey, you're a good guy by me. I wasn't actually mad at you this whole time. I respect you, Ethan
Again,
Hunt."
yeah.
Well, this is where I get the
This
biggest
goes
payoff
nowhere.
for the whole movie.
Yeah.
We finally meet the president's son, and I'm hooting and hollering.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I'm
he's in the
I'm
military.
so happy.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess was the like what you're supposed to assume is that he was in the city that she was going to blow up and
I don't think
sacrifice
that-
or whatever.
I don't think that's
No,
true.
she just
Why even mention that she has a son? Like, what does that have to do with anything?
it's what the future we leave for the next generation.
Yeah, dude,
Tom Cruise,
it's
who's going to
a
do this
heavy
after he's
weight
gone?
on her head. These are the
Yeah.
thoughts rattling around while she's going to make the most important decision in her life.
And it's like, yeah, how can I look my own son in the eye if I blow up all the cities? How could I do it?
Right.
And then she can.
Hey, Mom.
I must say, Angela Bassett,
Doesn't
her
push the
face
button.
card is serving so much in this movie. It is great.
Yeah, she's great when she shows up and she just has nothing to do, and then she's like, "Yep, I'm in this movie too."
Nah, but she's fierce as hell.
Fallout, she says the term "that's the job," and it's one of the most iconic moments of performances ever given. And this, she's maybe in twice as much in the movie, and it's
It has less to do.
nothing. I mean, it's not
It's
even
less of a
close to
character.
memorable.
Yeah, because the whole
Mhm.
point in Fallout is that she's like, yeah, again, she's like ruthlessly efficient. That's the job. She's, Henry Cavill is like working for her before he's revealed to be.
You use
Don't
Hunt.
lie.
He's a scalpel. I prefer a hammer. Walker.
That was
And
so
it's
much
the
better.
Perfect setup of fucking Henry Cavill. You're
Right.
just like,
Cock
that's
his fists.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then that fist fight on a cliff is infinitely more exciting than this dual
Right.
biplane.
Again, I
Yeah.
think the helicopter stuff was better than the biplane stuff in this movie.
He
I
does
agree.
two-face that kid who fights him on the treadmill. Ethan Hunt loves to
Yeah.
two-face people.
He does two-face him.
And I like when that guy with the knife is like, "I can't let you do it, Ethan." It's like,
I'm not
"Who
going
are
to let you kill the entity.
He says, "What is this? Why are you doing this?"
It's got. Who are you?
It's very vulnerable to me for my Ethan Hunt. I was like, "Why do
Yeah.
you seem so scared? Just kill this guy."
It's like I thought
Again,
everybody
yeah,
trusted
Katie
me on this
O'Brien.
boat.
Oh God, I gotta say, guys,
Love
my
Lies
two
Bleeding.
types.
Yeah.
It's the older I get, and I'm sorry to be so misogynistic that I have to just like see women and be like, "Those are my types." But tiny little French goth Asian girl versus big mommy who can pick me up and throw me around.
Sure,
Protect.
I
muscle
want them
mommy.
all.
Right.
Well, we
She
love
can
Katie
protect.
O'Brien ever since she showed up in Ant-Man Quantumania.
Have you guys seen that meme that's like those badly scribbled two guys, and one of them's being interviewed and he's got a microphone out, and the guy who's doing it just like looks a little normal, and the guy who's like talking to the microphone has like red cheeks and he's sweating, and it's two panels, and the top one goes, "Big woman, big strong woman," and the bottom one he's like even like more nervous, and it says, "And she's nice to me."
Right. And
I
that's
think about that all the time.
yeah, that's Katie O'Brien in this movie, and
Yes, it
Love
is.
Lies Bleeding.
Woman, big strong woman.
But she's
We love
even
it.
she's like, man, Tom Cruise is so cool. Like her character, like everybody's like, that Ethan Hunt, what a hell of a guy. Take care of my suit, you know?
Right. She's just basically there to say that in
Yeah.
this movie. She's only
Like
in,
you're
like,
cool with
couple-
me, Ethan. You're pretty
But
cool.
they-
Again,
All-
Tramell Tillman. Do you think Tom Cruise watched Severance and was like,
Yes.
"Give me that guy"?
I guarantee that is he has a binder of people that are like up and coming, and he goes, "Can
Right.
we get like 5 of them?" And one of them says yes, and he's like, "Absolutely." What also bugs me about this movie is those cameos are so prominent. The characters are actually very defined, which I think is cool. They're oversaturated. There's too many of them, and then they all get a final beat to be like, "We did it, Ethan." Like it,
Right.
like it.
It
Like
cuts to
Hannah
Hannah
Waddingham gets
Waddingham, it's
another
like,
thing where she's
I
like,
don't care
Yeah.
about your story at all. Like,
reading, and I'm like, yeah, like turn this movie off. And it's during the moment where we get the Luther voiceover, who's like, "Hey,
Right.
brother, ha ha ha."
That's
you
right.
Probably thought you wouldn't win. I always knew we would, baby.
and that's the problem is like it cuts to these characters that we just met for like one scene
I'm
when
like,
it doesn't
get me
show.
out of here.
It should be if anything, it should be showing like Michelle Monaghan, like what's she up to now?
Yes.
Again, Ilsa Faust dead, not in this movie, and it's like, man, I don't know, like some of these new characters, like just give me Ilsa Faust again. Can we cut to Jeremy Renner? Can you get hit like? Can you get one shot where you did it on in his house on location or something where he's like, Special Agent Brandt here. Oh, Ethan Hunt did it again.
Looking
This
at
is
the
like the
TV,
finale of
AI
the
defeated.
franchise.
Yeah.
And it just seems like, they don't cut, like they're sometimes obsessed with like the history of the franchise and cut in references to like the first movie, and then sometimes it's like major characters from previous movies have no presence at all, and it just feels kind of weird.
Sometimes you're just going to see an Inuit woman say, "I'll see you in the next life" 3 times.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
That's right.
Right.
She does acclimate quickly to the spy stuff.
She does.
Yeah.
William Donlow.
Done
Yeah,
well.
standout of this movie. Rolf Saxon from the first movie.
What else has he done?
Not much. I think he was in that first Mission Impossible movie. He's the narrator of the show Teletubbies.
What?
Wow.
He's the narrator of Teletubbies.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, gig's a gig. And 365 million terabytes are in the storage facility. Anyway,
Right.
I don't know. Is that like that's the plot? Do we want to head over to final thoughts on Final Reckoning?
Come on, Tarzan. Let's head over to.
Yeah. I don't have anything to do in the final thoughts segment. I'll just stay here with these other characters.
We're back here on Normies Like Us, where we're saying
We're in the
goodbye
end
to Xenu's chosen one.
Yeah.
We've defeated the
That's right.
anti-god, the antipod, the entity. Is this it? What is going on? Is it over? Does it mean more spin-offs? What does Paramount Plus do? What does Paramount Plus, of course, being the entire company, not Paramount? There's
Yeah. Yeah, true.
and what does Tom do? What is Tom's future?
That's a good
What do
question
we say
because,
here, guys?
of course, he's the movie star of all movie stars. So what's he gonna?
He was.
What kind of movies is he gonna be in now? Like he was doing these movies. These are a big part. And then he did, Top Gun Maverick, of course.
$1 billion movie.
Does the portrait of Dorian Gray melt in his attic, Jacob? Like, what happens to him physically?
I think it really
Does he
is all
finally
the
get white hair.
the thetans. The thetans
Yeah.
are keeping him healthy. I think. Yeah, that's why he looks so good for a.
He's gone
65-year-old.
clear.
Because he's the chosen one. He
Gone
needs to
clear.
save movies.
Yeah,
Save the
I
world
was
through
wondering.
movies.
So, I didn't see this at an AMC theater, but I was wondering if when they like showed the premiere at an AMC, if they played the Nicole Kidman intro. Famously they had a relationship that ended badly, so I wonder if they show that before his movies or not.
Yeah, does he ask him, can you not? Can you please not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's cut
That's
the
wild.
Nicole Kidman movie intro.
Yeah.
He's in Eyes Wide Shut, which is one of my favorite movies ever made.
right,
I
with Nicole
don't
Kidman.
know that I would ever say he's one of my favorite actors, but I
But
don't.
he can
It's
act like when he needs to, like Magnolia. He's so good in Magnolia, Paul
Yes.
Thomas Anderson, which is such a
Hmm.
different role for him, where he's doing this whole character. It's like
He was
he
gonna
really
do the
can act.
Brad Pitt role in the fucking Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but it didn't work out.
Mm.
Right. Well,
I
Brad Pitt's just trying to copy like his later career now with this F1 movie,
Yes.
which is just
That's
Top
Gun,
Gun in a car.
Top Gun
Yeah,
Road.
great
Yeah,
Yeah.
Top Gun in a car.
my relationship
Top
to him
Speed.
is
Yeah.
that like Top Golf is that I don't want him to die. Like I like Tom Cruise. I agree
think he's
with
gonna
all
die
those
for a
things
while.
people scream at him. I think he might be immortal. He might be able to stop the vampire.
Yeah.
True.
Well, he was
I
in
I
the
think
interview
it's
with Vampire.
I think it's fair when people scream that stuff like where is Shelley Miscavige? It's like, yeah,
He
Mhm.
wasn't.
but
He probably he wouldn't be
he
involved
probably
in any of that
doesn't
stuff.
know, honestly. And I
Right.
think it does matter when he says things like, please go to the movies and
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're here. And Ryan Coogler deserves to direct films. Like, I think people listen to him.
Well, again, I
Yeah.
think he really rehabilitated his image by just not talking about the weird stuff
Yeah.
and just seeming more normal in public, and that just did a lot of wonders for his like public image. And so I like to see that version of him as, Mr. Movies, and just ignore all the other stuff and
Yeah,
just
like
kind of
when you're reading the article about how like Suri
Mhm.
Cruz hasn't spoken to him in 12 years and she
Right.
just finished the process of legally changing her name to Suri Holmes because she never wants to be associated with this man. And then you see this guy like smiling and waving being like,
Yeah.
"Well, I hope all you nice folks come to my nice movie." And you're
Yeah.
like,
hanging
"How
out with his
can
friend
both
Christine
truths
McCoy.
exist?"
Yeah.
But for what's worth, he does seem like less of a piece of shit than Brad Pitt, uh, whose children also hate him. So there's just a lot of bad guys in Hollywood. That's kind of the
Yeah.
byproduct, unfortunately, of it.
Yeah.
By the way, I did see Katie Holmes recently in Poker Face, the new season of Poker Face. She's in an
Right.
episode.
He was very funny in that episode.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's good to
Yeah,
see
that
her
was- she
doing.
was great in
Would
that.
would Tom ever do like the studio? Would he ever like poke
Mm.
fun now at the idea of him being the
I
last
think he
movie
should.
star?
Yeah,
Here's
he should
where
play
I
himself in the studio. Season 2.
no,
Yeah.
that's a good call because actually I've heard one that's somewhere he said the script for Top Gun 3 is ready. Also, I heard him say there's been floating around he wants to do like a side spin-off of Tropic Thunder, more or less Grossman, which is kind of making fun of
And that
himself.
was
That's funny.
yeah, that was like
That's the
and I
beginning
think-
of rehabilitation.
That's
Ever
maybe
since-
his first
exactly.
role on the right path. You're right.
Absolutely. And ever since he's had more of a sense of humor about his own image and like being able, because like in the mid 2000s, he just seemed like such a crazy person where he was, was really heavily into Scientology. He was going on.
You're being
Oprah,
glib,
jumping on
Jacob.
couches and
You're being
stuff.
glib.
You're being glib.
The
Look, Matt
old
Lauer, you don't
rebound
understand.
was, and I wonder if the Tremel Tillman is an homage to his old friend. The old rebound was the Mission Impossible 2 MTV Awards parody with Ben Stiller as his stunt double.
Yes, Mission Impossible
where it
2,
was
yeah,
like
that's such a
Tom
funny
Cruise can
skit.
laugh at himself, and people were
Yeah.
like, "This is interesting." And it was the first time where he ever sort of like took the step down from godhood to be like, "I'm kind of approachable," and we're all like,
I
"Oh,
love
that's good."
comedy.
Then he had
Yeah.
a huge fall after that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, and then he shows up in Tropic Thunder, got raves for his
or his friend Ben
role in that.
Stiller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why Ben Stiller's like, do you think he talked to Ben Stiller and he was like,
yeah.
this guy, Tremel
That's
Tillman,
what
you
I'm
should get
saying.
him."
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
He's got
could
his
be an
shit.
homage to his buddy to be like, I'll cast the biggest breakout character from his hit TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's just do
But I
Milkshake
would
on a
love to see
submarine.
him in I would love to see him in the studio season 2 playing himself.
I would, honestly.
I think he'd be
Seth
good
Rogen
for it. Yeah.
Interacting with him would be funny.
I
Yeah.
do have a note here, because there's a lot of scenes in this movie of him being like, look, there's only one way we can do this. And I'm just imagining Tom Cruise negotiating making Mission Impossible. And this is maybe for the studio. He's like, look, if there was a way we could make this movie without me hanging off an airplane, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would do it in this second, but we don't have a choice. This is the only way. You need to trust me. I need to hang off this airplane.
So in love with how these people think about him and stuff, his whole character would just be like, it's Tom fucking Cruise. Like, I have to do whatever he says.
Yeah. It's
Well,
like,
and really,
he wants to hang
his
off an airplane.
His legacy of I do my own stunts. I try to go bigger and crazier every movie. That's really caught on too. Even with the Thunderbolts, the PR campaign of the Thunderbolts being like, look, Florence Pugh jumped off this building. It was very Tom Cruise-esque. That's something that actors like aspire to.
Most of the PR for these later Mission Impossibles are that. It's just stunt reel
on
stuff.
his shoulder.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
hanging off the plane, climbing the Burj Khalifa. Yeah.
And I want to reiterate, both the times stars have been recorded having meltdowns, Christian Bale and him, I am on both their sides, not the person getting yelled at. I think they are both in the right. With him being like
McGee's director of photography,
the lighting guy who's like, do, just walking around. I hope the show was great, mate, because you blew it.
Right.
Definitely
with the Tom Cruise one, he was
Tom Cruise one when he's like, how about every night? I'm on the phone with every studio head, and they're just saying they don't even know if movies can get made anymore. We're dying out here.
There's also this story of like last year, Tom Cruise's agent was going to get fired from like CAA for like saying like free Palestine and social media.
And he made a call.
Went to bat for her and was like, don't fucking fire her.
Yes, you will not get rid of my agent. And they're like, okay, she stays.
Good guy Tom Cruise. I don't know.
Sometimes.
Good guy Tom Cruise. God,
anything can happen.
What does he think of Trump? What does he think of Palestine? I don't know.
I just hope they go to the movies.
And like by all accounts, like he just watches everything. He loves every kind of movie. He loves comedies. Like he's a huge Buster Keaton guy. Obviously, Buster Keaton's a huge inspiration for him doing stunts and things like that. So he just wants a legacy of like the movies,
If you could have one conversation with him, what would you talk about? What movie would you want to talk to him about?
Oh,
I'd be curious about his Criterion Closet. Like, what are his picks?
Yeah,
that would be.
Cool. I would like to see him in the Criterion Closet. I'd like to see him doing his letterboxed 4 favorites that they do.
Yeah.
I would ask him what he thinks of Nolan, and why they never like linked up together.
Yeah, Nolan's a big go to the movie theaters guy. Like, why haven't they linked up?
I wonder if
he made 2 Spielberg. He made my favorite Spielberg movie,
War of the Worlds,
Minority Report.
Oh, that's right.
That is a good one. Yeah, I do like Minority Report. I wonder if now, so he's been doing all these action movies, these big budget blockbusters, Top Gun Maverick. Does he do like a more prestige type thing? Maybe like a Nolan thing or something like that.
Does he ever get an Oscar?
An Oscar type role.
When was the last time he talked to Paul Thomas Anderson?
That's a good question.
Don't know.
Wouldn't you be so curious to be like, are they regularly? Have they ever tried to link back up?
Right. Of course, PTA is doing a movie with Leo now. That's his next one with Leo DiCaprio. Of course, like you said, he was going to be in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I wonder, like, he needs to do an Oscar type role because he was up for Oscars early in his career, but he's been more focused on action and blockbusters.
Kubrick, Coppola, Scorsese. Yeah. It used to be that he used to go, I will work with the biggest directors of all time. Then it used to be,
and he had some flops.
I will work with the guys I control. Yeah.
But Vanilla Sky.
Oh right,
I like that.
He was in some good movies.
We got the video game franchise Doom out of The Color of Money. The name of it, anyway.
That's right. It's in that briefcase. I remember you saying.
Yeah.
I would love to see another Live, Die, Repeat.
Oh, that was fun.
That was a great one.
Yeah, that was really good.
Collateral, like you said. Collateral's so good. You played a great villain.
So good.
Yeah.
I definitely think
sequel to The Hustler.
Yeah, there we go. I definitely want no more Mission Impossibles. This franchise can just be dead to me.
Yeah, I don't.
Where do you go? Where do you go from here?
Right
exactly.
It can be done. I mean, I'm sure they'll want to do some kind of spin-off or something. That's like, the ballerina from the world of
Yeah.
John Wick, right? They're going to do something like that, maybe. And that's the rumor with Glenn Powell.
Entity
Powell.
from
And
the
of course
world of Mission Impossible.
They were
Oh,
they
yeah.
were already going to try that earlier with Jeremy Renner. Like that's kind of why they wrote Jeremy Renner in, and they're like, we're going to spin off and make one with Jeremy Renner or whatever.
Well, it's crazy that that Hobbs and Shaw got their own movie in this universe, isn't it?
Right.
Mission Impossible, Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Luth and Benji. Mission Impossible,
Reminder
Luth
that
and
that
Benji, the
film
early
they
years.
do fight like a hybrid AI that has given a human superpowers. Like that could have been the plot of this movie.
You know what was better AI was Charlize Theron in Fast and the Furious driving all those cars out of the parking garage. Cypher. Hell yeah.
Right.
I
Way
almost
better
said
than
something.
Gabriel.
Elba.
Cypher.
Hey, mate, where's the entity?
Where's the SD mate?
I'm looking at Tom Cruise's filmography. The only thing on the books after this one, it seems to be an untitled Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu film. So that is more of a Oscar prestige type
Thinking in Yatu movie.
director. It seems like. So that'll be interesting.
Birdman 2.
Birdman. Yeah, you
Tom
need to hook
Cruise
up
is
with
the drummer this time in the background while Michael Keaton's
Right.
freaking out.
I need to
Birdlash.
hook up with like Denis Villeneuve or someone like that.
Yeah.
He's just gonna show up in Dune. It's a random space
Right.
senator.
His
I don't
last
I would love
since
to.
let's see, his last two movies, of course, were Mission Impossible, then Top Gun Maverick, then Fallout. So he's done out of his last four movies, 3 were Mission Impossible, 1 was Top Gun. Before that, he had The Mummy, which was a huge failure. And
Do you
American
think
Made.
his last outfit in this movie is him reclaiming his look in The Mummy?
know.
Maybe, yeah.
Whoa.
And then he had American Made, which I
Oblivion?
don't think did well either. He had Jack Reacher, Edge of
you guys
Tomorrow,
like
which
Oblivion?
is Live, Die, Repeat. Oblivion, no,
I
not
didn't
really.
No,
see
me
it.
neither. I don't like it.
Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat. That's probably his best.
Edge of Tomorrow is
movie from the last-
okay.
But he's really stuck to a lot of action and things like that and
Yeah.
sci-fi.
It's like I'm not staying in shape for no reason. Like, let's do
Yeah.
action. It's obviously it's
Right.
part of his brand.
Oh yeah.
And he did say like he wants to do movies until he dies. Like people are like, "Are you ever gonna like retire or like anything like that?" He's like, "No, I'm gonna basically make movies until I fucking pass out and die."
They vaporize.
collapse.
What's the thing in
Yeah.
Community where Pierce gets like vaporized and like
Yeah, they're gonna put him in a lava
lamp?
lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Xenu, and send his
Whatever-
ashes to
Whatever
Xenu.
cult thing.
No,
yeah.
ground my ashes with sand and make them into cinema lenses. Anamorphic.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to do when he dies. Make
Yeah,
them
I
into-
asked you
Right.
guys
Zeiss
if you guys
primes.
believe the Walt Disney Frozen head thing. Like whatever's going to happen to Tom Cruise is going to be like 20 levels beyond that.
Yeah. And he's already got it planned.
Yeah.
But Final Reckoning, my
Final
note, my final
Final
thought
Reckoning.
really is like War Games is so much better of a a computer
Right.
has a nuke and there's no action
War
or anything
Games,
in it. It's way more tense.
Terminator.
Yeah. And this, like, it has weird tonal stuff. Like, what was with that visual gag with Tom Cruise and the torture tools? And then it's just showing Grace's face reacting to him killing those guys with, like, sound effects.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Those people were going to hurt you.
Yeah, it's like, was that funny?
What
Is that a
is this?
comedy bit? Like, I don't know. It was very weird. But I don't like it. And I also want to ask how many ticking clocks? We have 2 bombs, a doomsday clock, short window to get to the submarine, oxygen running out. Like, there's so many ticking clocks in this movie because the stakes are too high. So I just think it's too much. It's too big. It's too bloated.
Yeah.
Chill out. That's my final
No,
thought.
I agree with you. I think it was too long. It was too exposition heavy, and kind of a disappointing final installment. I didn't totally hate it, but like I said, it's in my bottom 3. Oh, I could give my ranking right now.
Yeah,
Do
what's
your
the ranking
right
now?
now, please? Yeah, I'm going to bring mine up.
Let's see. Let me pull it up here.
This
By the way, Colin, you said, does Tom Cruise still talk to Paul Thomas Anderson? I
No.
wonder, do you think Tom Cruise saw The Master and basically had a falling
That's
out with Paul Thomas
interesting.
Anderson because
That's
of The Master?
actually a really interesting question. Yeah. Anti-Scientology.
because the Master is all about. Basically, it's based on the life of what's his name, the
Well, Ron
guy
Hubbard,
who created L. Ron
I
Hubbard.
wonder if we
the
have
son
the
of Little
exact
Mother
same
Hubbard.
list, Jacob. It
What's
is
that?
8 movies.
8
Yes.
movies. Yeah, go through it.
Oh, you're forgetting the spin-off, Benji and Luther. The
And Jack
Benji and
Ryan.
Luther Chronicles.
Okay, here's my rank. Number 1, Rogue Nation. I think it's a little bit. I like Fallout is number 2, but I like Rogue Nation just a little bit more. It was the introduction of Ilsa Faust, the opera scene when she puts that leg up with the sniper rifle. I mean,
Oh boy.
what can I say?
Tactically.
So Rogue Nation number 1, Fallout number 2, Ghost Protocol number 3, Mission Impossible number 4, the first one. Then I have Dead Reckoning number 5. Then I have Final Reckoning number 6. Then Mission Impossible 3. Then Mission Impossible 2.
We
So
have
it's
the
only better
exact
than-
same list, except our first 3 are rearranged.
Okay.
I go Fallout first, then Ghost Protocol, then Rogue Nation. Then literally it's Mission Impossible,
Yeah.
Dead Reckoning, Final Reckoning, 3, 2.
I think that's a quality list. I think the top 4 are definitely whatever order you have them in. They're the best 4.
Unimpeachable. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the full list because I haven't seen all of them, but I like Fallout the most right now, and this one I think I like the least. Like at least 2 is weird, crazy
2
John Woo weird stuff.
Yeah,
And it's
it is,
shorter.
It's like the
Fallout
only one that
2
doesn't
better,
really work.
honestly. It is shorter.
It's
Yeah.
shorter, makes more sense, and I would prefer to not watch this again,
Got
probably.
Anthony Hopkins in it. He kind of is never bad. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
It
What's
is
wrong
one
with
where
it?
he's like, it is like the only one where Tom Cruise actually seems to exude some kind of sexuality, which is a
Yeah,
little off-putting.
yeah.
Oh, fair.
Tandy
With,
Way, Tandy
with,
Way Newton.
Tandy Newton. Yeah.
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 Overall, it just doesn't work very well. But which
But
ones did you say you haven't seen?
I haven't seen 3 and 4, I guess.
Okay. Yeah,
Which is
Ghost
Rogue
Protocol
Nation.
4
Sorry,
is
Ghost
a great is I would recommend watching that.
I
one
saw
for
Rogue
sure. I think
Nation,
3 is
Fallout, and
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. 3, it's like you can immediately tell it's a J.J. Abrams movie. Like it just looks like a J.J. Abrams movie.
Unfortunately.
And
Yeah.
then, do you remember Aaron Paul plays like his wife's cousin or something?
His brother-in-law.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, we're working at the docks again. You're a normal guy.
Yeah. He's like
Mm.
dancing to like a song in the beginning. It's kind of weird.
Okay.
But yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman, great villain in that.
Harry
one.
Russell's got a fucking bomb in her brain. Help
Oh,
me.
Zora, you made it.
Yeah,
Zori
Zori
made
makes
it.
it.
That's right.
Okay,
Harry
okay.
Russell, who you never bring back again.
Well, maybe I'll watch the missing ones, but I was not impressed.
I think you should. This was a franchise that I loved. Again, I'm very bummed out that my dad, who would say things like, well, I bet Ilsa's not dead, and, I think this is going to lead to this, and had actual fan theories who will not get any resolution on those. And then I'm sitting here going like, wait, we never even learned what like Gabriel and Ethan's backstory was. Like, I guess I'm as disappointed about him not getting resolution as I am out of the fact that I didn't get resolution, and that's really hurting the score and vibe for this movie for me.
Yeah.
It's a poor
Again,
job
the-
of wrapping things up.
Yeah.
The Ilsa Faust of it all, where it's like, it really seemed like they were going to like bring her back in some way, but then no, they did really just killed her off in the last movie and she doesn't come back.
In a way that really didn't feel that weighty.
Yeah. And she sort of, I feel like she really revitalized the crew starting with Rogue Nation, where it was her, Benji, and Luther are the core crew to me of these last couple movies. And to really just
100%.
kind of replace her with Grace, who I don't hate as a character, but it's just like, I don't know, it's weird. I don't like it.
Respectfully, a glow down, like in quality of
Yeah.
writing and character.
Yeah. And
What's
Dead Reckoning,
a great
had so many
pickpocket need, Mike?
Perfect timing. Blink of an eye.
timing. Yeah.
And then Palm says
And,
blink of an eye in French. Nobody understands it, but she says it too.
My favorite part is when Grace goes, "Oh, he did it!" and then she immediately grabs the thing. It is very satisfying that she does it.
That's when
within a
someone in
split second.
my theater went, "Oh damn," and then
Oh,
started.
damn.
Damn.
And then a guy
but
took
I
a
do-
huge bite of a hot dog and drank half a slushie.
Just the ice. Yeah.
Oh, fuck that guy.
Oh,
But yeah, Dead Reckoning had so many of my waifus that didn't show up in this movie. Vanessa Kirby.
Yes.
How
She's
dare
too
you.
busy
being
being
invisible.
invisible.
Yeah,
She was in
too
it and it's
busy.
sincere.
Too busy fucking being Mama Dune. Like all these people have
Yeah.
gone on to other stuff.
Right.
Yeah. I think the
But I
COVID
do-
scheduling probably affected people coming back and having other stuff.
That is admitted why Angela Bassett wasn't in part 1, and they just put the picture
Okay.
up of her where she was like, COVID, I can't, blah blah blah. So
I
I
see.
have to
She would have
imagine
just been in
was
that
what she
scene.
was
There are
in.
asterisks with this movie's failures, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do wonder, Randy Brooks, I wonder what he would have thought of how it all wrapped up. 'Cause
I
know-
don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't believe it's wrapped up. I think they're going to keep making them.
I think there'll be some kind of spin-off, but
I'm
I don't
not
know
sure
if
what
it's
its
gonna be
box office is.
a
I don't know if it's doing good or
mainline-
bad.
Yeah, I don't know if Tom Cruise will make any more, or if they'll just go the spin-off route and be like, the young IMF or something like that. I don't know.
Tom
It's
is
doing
the director
very
of the
well.
IMF. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's making
Mm.
lots of money. This is the biggest Memorial Day weekend in film history.
Well,
I
Lilo
believe
and
it
Stitch
and Lilo are both killing. Yeah.
is dominating the box office, which makes me hate everything. The fact that I hate these live action adaptations so much, as you know.
Yeah, me too.
When I saw, I think it was Thunderbolts, and I got back-to-back previews of Lilo and Stitch, followed by How to Train Your Dragon. I was
Ugh.
like, is this what movies are now?
This
They're
is
just
what Tom
remakes
Cruise
of
is trying to
animated movies?
defeat in this movie. Is that?
Yeah, that's right. And go back to, listen to our animation draft. Animation is, valid cinema, and we don't need these crap live action movies. Okay.
I'm
So the
I'm
fact
going
that-
the opposite way. Make an animated The Godfather.
Hey,
Go
Yeah.
crazy.
just do it by hand. Yeah.
remake live action movies in animation.
Why not? Who gives a fucking shit?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Gremlins,
You know-
the anime. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
great.
unfortunately, what this means is that with this Lilo and Stitch being so successful,
Lilo and Mish is
And-
what the weekend's called.
right? The next one is gonna be they're gonna make a live action of Frozen that's gonna make $2
Right.
billion probably.
Yeah.
No.
They're already doing.
Make-
They're already doing what the
Bria Allen.
What's the one with the Rock?
Moana.
Moana. It's
They're already
coming.
doing that, right? With the
Mike,
Rock
Yeah.
playing the guy.
Was there a
Yeah.
Lilo and Stitch menu, and will you reveal to us what you got out of the mac and cheese of Maction Impossible?
Yeah, they didn't explain the time. They did not have a Lilo and Stitch menu, but
Okay.
the mac and cheese really quick. Your mission is just regular mac and cheese.
Your
Protocol.
Maction.
Your
Oh, I'm sorry. These
Maction.
are the names. It's the normal one is just called Your Mission.
Your
Okay.
mission. Then we have
Okay.
Protocol, which is mac and cheese with Shiner chili, Fritos, Tillamook cheddar, and Sriracha sour cream. Kind of a Tex-Mex
Sounds
mac
really
and cheese. Yeah. Then we have Rogue, which is mac and cheese with baked jalapenos, dill pickles, barbecue sauce, and pulled pork. Barbecue
That
pulled
sounds
pork.
good. Really
Sounds
good.
good. Yeah, I like
They
that.
all sounded pretty good. It was hard to choose. There's next one is called Fallout. It's mac and cheese baked with goat cheese, broccoli, red pepper, and spinach. Like a little bit light, a little bit of veg.
veggie option,
Okay.
yeah.
And the final one was called Reckoning. Mac and cheese baked with pepperoni, Italian sausage, bacon, and pizza sauce with truffle Parmesan cheese. So
Oh,
pizza.
that's too much.
Mac.
That one
Much
sounds
like that,
good.
this movie, it's too much.
It's too much.
Unga
Way too much. It's hard to digest, like this movie.
Yeah.
I ended up getting the Fallout because I wanted a little bit of veg in my mac and cheese, and it was good.
That sounds good,
Okay.
dude.
Yeah.
I think the
Goat
Rogue
cheese.
sounded good.
The Rogue sounds good too. Actually, Protocol with the Shiner chilies, they have the loaded fries with that recipe for the
Sounds a
toppings,
little
and they're really
spicy.
good.
A little spicy.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a heat seeker myself.
Bit
yeah.
of a heat seeking.
Yeah. Protocol was going to be my other option, but they all seem pretty good. But yeah,
Yeah, the Reckoning
Maction
seems,
Impossible.
Unga Pachka, it's called Unga Pachka.
Yeah,
There's
truly.
too much going on.
Unga
True.
Pachka. Huh. But anyway,
Like
yeah.
one too many ingredients, but yeah.
Just like this movie, one too many plot lines.
Yeah, too many characters, and yeah, the structure was all over the place. Like I think Dead Reckoning was better, and I think Fallout and Rogue Nation were better than Dead Reckoning. So it's just kind of going downhill overall.
Yeah.
So it is time to end it. I think it's a good time to end it. But
This
we'll
franchise will
see what they do.
self-destruct. Yes.
in 5 years. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, a good time to end this podcast as well as we're wrapping it up here. Hit us up at normies_like_us, where you can leave all of your diatribes about being a children of the atom and how you want the entity to win and totally restructure society. We agree with that as well.
Yep.
And if you
right.
think this is it for Tom and what his future will be, we want to know that there too. And hit us up on YouTube.
You can see pod cats and pod dogs on this episode if you're tuning in.
Yeah, Jacob's
Right.
been petting a little dog who's been having nightmares this entire episode, who I assume has had a sort of mask strapped to his face where he's been receiving digital commands from a being known as the anti-god.
Also, the bends were happening, so they need to be
Yeah.
comforted.
Horrible. Jacob was, curled up with him inside a little tube saying, "It's okay, dog. You'll be fine."
Dog.
soon."
The dog heard you talking about her, so she ran away. But that'll be
That's
a new
what the entity
feature
wants
of,
the dog to do.
Yeah.
That's right. If you
For
check
new
us out on
watchers.
YouTube, a new feature of our video feed is that you can see our little dogs and our little cats. We're not eating them. We're not eating the dogs and cats. We're just petting them.
Entity's eating the dogs. It's eating the cats.
They're on the
Yeah,
Ohio
so check us out on
submarine.
YouTube and check us out audio, video, however you
They
want to watch.
would have made it if they'd been on a winner submarine like the one we just got as a gift, but they're on the loser George H.W. Bush sub. It's
The USS
small,
Trump, a much better submarine.
pathetic. The USS Trump, big beautiful boat.
Beautiful.
Mhm. Big beautiful
submarine.
boat.
We call it everything's computer in there. Let me tell you, we love
Everything's
Tesla.
computer.
Tesla, everything's computer. Well,
Can't
we want
hack us. Everything's computer.
The entity, everything's the entity.
to right.
Ah.
Ugh. Escapism.
world.
What are we doing next
yes.
week? You want to tease that?
What are we?
Oh,
That's great. What are we
of
doing
course.
next week?
We are coming to the end of May, but not the end of Miyazaki,
There we go.
as we will be returning to the world of Hayao Miyazaki and
Mhm.
talking about his second directorial feature, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind.
And first original.
First
Property.
original based
Yeah.
on the manga that he created and the last before creating Studio Ghibli. So there you go.
Yeah.
Who are
Oh,
the two people battling the entity? Tom Cruise and Hayao Miyazaki.
that's true. They should
That's
team
right.
up. And actually,
We
that
hate-
reminds me.
AI for what they did to our guy Miyazaki.
And we know that
Right.
if Disney had an AI, that they could just put in a Disney animated feature that would
Oh,
turn
yeah.
it live
That's
action. They would do it in a
essentially what
second.
these movies are.
Oh,
Yeah.
Snap their fingers.
Just
Yep,
AI
but,
generated crap.
No, we support animation, and we got Tom Cruise in Dead Reckoning referencing Cagliostro with his little yellow car chase.
That's
you
right.
know?
And I said on our Cagliostro episode that it reminded me of Mission Impossible. Like
That's
Lupin
right.
reminded me of Ethan Hunt. So it's very
Would
fitting.
Mamo have been a better villain than Gabriel?
100%. And I haven't even seen that
Well, if
one.
Gabriel was revealed to be like a giant brain, that would be
Or
pretty
a little
interesting.
goblin?
Yeah.
An AI is kind of a giant
so-
brain.
Yeah. But we hate AI, but we love Miyazaki. So
Mhm.
tune in next week. Check out Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind before listening, and you can
That's right.
do a deep dive with us. And we love it.
Yep. And we love you.
It will
love you,
return,
Normie.
although this mission may not. We thank everyone who chose to accept it. We're your hosts. This is Mission Colin
Hunt.
possible.
Mike G.
And this is you should be Mike Hunt.
Oh,
Anyways.
shoot. Didn't even think about that.
We'll play on words there, Normies.
yeah.
Why? What is it?
And this is
Explain.
Jake Reel. I brought 2 planes just in case, Normies.
See if you catch me, Ethan. Man.
And this podcast will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Beep,
Goodbye.
beep,
Bye.
beep, beep.